Hello and welcome to the SuperShow podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and today, a little bit unusual, but we've got Jamie and Jonesy. Yay!
Ooh, mixing it up.
All right, boys.
Wow,
Hello.
fellas, thank you so much for joining me. This is the first time you're on this podcast, so how does it feel?
An honour,
Feels
a
good,
privilege. Yeah, I know.
Wow, high energy. I'm loving it. Let's try and keep that high energy level riding throughout the podcast. I'm hoping it's not a 2-hour podcast again, because last time we maybe went a bit overboard. We were also quite tired, and I think towards the end I got a bit delusional. But anyway, if you are new here, we are a gaming podcast. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but you can watch us on YouTube or you can listen to us on a podcasting platform of your choice. I'm talking Spotify. I'm talking iTunes. I'm talking, I don't know, fucking Stitcher and Deezer and some of those. So just search the Super Show podcast and it should pop up. Otherwise, of course, we are youtube.com/Super Pod, and you can also follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Super Show Pod as well. Right, so fellas, we got a lot kind of covered. I thought this was going to be quite a slow week after that PlayStation announcement, but actually we've got some interesting stuff coming up.
It's a pretty good week.
Yeah. So a couple of, just a glimpse into the crystal ball there. I think we'll probably be talking about some Pokemon, some Star Wars games, some Battle Royale seasons, and maybe some juicy DC news. Who knows? Who knows? All I'm going to say is stay tuned, because we're going to get to all of that. But before we do, just want you to know that, nothing in this world comes for free. And this rings true for our podcast as well. This podcast is entirely funded by our benevolent patrons. So they headed over to patreon.com/supershow and they pledged a little bit of that cheddar to help us keep doing what we do. And we love each and every single one of you, damn juicy moisty boys, but none more so than Brett Zerbrig, Hacksaw Book Read, Mindful Pig, Nathan Piers, Peaswad, The Dude Abides, Tristan Harris, William Sherry, and of course the two dudes that, they've just kicked it up a level. They've kind of they're the turbocharger and the supercharger to our engine respectively, and that is Lonnie Thompson and Skylar Music. Thank you all so much for your pledges. You help keep the dream alive.
Thank you all.
Wow,
Yes.
that was a lot of words. Okay.
You did well there, Chris. You made it through it.
very well.
Just rattle it off.
You're a fucking machine.
Yeah, they call me Machine Gun Chris.
I'm going to host the shit out of this.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that. That's one of the best things about the kind of the way we're fit, the remote version of this podcast.
Yeah, with the ever slight delay.
Sometimes you could just leave someone hanging if you're not sure what to respond for just a couple of seconds. There's the perfect amount of awkward silence after every joke, and I love it.
I like the delayed smirk. That's what I always look out for, is the delayed smirk.
Which doesn't always work on the audio version, but I promise people listening, it is there.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, I'll tell you what, if you're listening, go check us out on YouTube. All right, so as I usually like to do, I like to start off the show with a comment of the week. So you can leave a juicy comment on our YouTube channel underneath the video. And, if it's interesting enough, we'll get around to it. Now, last week, fellas, we didn't have one. So I think it's only fair that we have two this time around.
Oh,
I love it.
Rack 'em and stack 'em.
All right, now, what better way to start off a comment of the week than one from one of our very own patrons, Mindful Pig. And he says...
I never know what to call them. Patrons, Patreons. I always get confused.
I think Chris is right. I think officially they're patrons.
Patrons. They're patrons. I just like to call them big dick dudes. Or ladies.
Or ladies. Big dick energy all round.
They do have that BDE.
Yeah. Right, so Mindful Pig says, speaking of your Patreon, see, nice little link there, loved the new podcast, Super Show After Dark. If anyone hasn't joined their Patreon yet, this new podcast was well worth the cost. Huge respect to all three of you for being open about your lives and struggles behind the camera. Really enjoyed the memories you guys shared with us. Those tidbits added more character to these amazing gents. Not to fanboy, but these guys deserve the credit for a great idea series. Love what you guys do, and I hope there will always be more to come. Very nice
Thanks,
comment.
man.
Obviously, we picked it because it's a bit of a fucking pat on the back there.
I'll be honest, that's the first time I've heard that comment in full. I think I might have seen it under the video, but that's the first time certainly that I've heard it said out loud to me, and I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thanks,
sure.
Mindful Pig. I mean,
We'll take it.
he is one of the dudes keeping the dream alive. So thank you for that.
Certainly
Who
is.
knew that erotic audio from us would do so well on the Patreon after dark?
Yeah, look, I thought it was a good one to include, obviously, not just because, Mindful Picks a Patreon and he's saying nice things about us because, hey, fuck yeah, always. But more to just let people know that we do often record additional podcasts, some sneak peeks, sometimes some early access over on our Patreon. It's not just simply a case of giving us a little bit of moolah to keep our things going. You get something in return.
I like the old AI dungeon thing, the app stuff that we've done, which is mental.
Yeah, which
it makes no sense.
So for those who don't know, AI Dungeon is kind of like a text-based adventure with an AI thing behind it, kind of creating the story as you go along. And the idea is that it can respond to anything you throw at it.
I guess it's a dungeon master.
Yeah, it's like a dungeon. It's like a Zork. You remember Zork?
Stands in for the human games person who sits there going, you try and do that. You try and throw yourself at them by picking up both your own legs, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it does it with AI and not very well. Really badly, in fact.
Yeah, so we did have some fun with that. I don't know if we'll go back to AI Dungeon. Maybe we should at one stage. But yeah, check it out. There's going to be hopefully more content going up there very soon.
As a stretch goal, can we hire Chloe to do another one in real life and we'll continue the adventures of Gideon Silvertongue?
That is a stretch goal. Not necessarily the Chloe aspect of it, but a stretch goal is there in place for us to continue doing a something that we did on All Time Gaming, which was a Dungeons and Dragons inspired adventure, and we would love.
I didn't even know it was on as a stretch goal. Let's get there.
Let's get there. I think we should get some more stretch goals as well. Someone was talking about Jamie doing a cooking show. I was like, hell yeah, let's fucking do it.
I don't need no damn stretch goals to do a cooking show. I'll do one right now. Look, I've got the only ingredients I need right here with me. I've got peanut butter. I've got Monster Energy. I've got barbecue sauce. What can't you make?
The grimmest fucking. Okay, anyway.
I don't know why all three of those things are on my desk, but don't question it.
I wanted to add another.
Is there a spoon in the peanut butter?
No, it's a knife. There you go.
Is it? Oh, it's not in it though. It's not just.
No, it's next to it. There you go.
I had a vision of an open peanut butter pot with a spoon in it.
No, although I did once hear an anecdote from someone that it was like a dude who said that when he was dieting, one of the best ways he found to fight off hunger when you got suddenly really wanted something was to just have a tablespoon of peanut butter on its own, because it gives your mouth and your stomach so much to deal with almost that it suppresses the hunger. But obviously, even in just one tablespoon, there's a lot of calories, folks, and I should know because I've eaten entire tubs of it before.
Okay. Wow. Well, there we go. What else would you guys like to see from Patreon stretch goals? Or one of the things we said was body pillows, right? Like Jamie body pillows.
I'll never get away from that. That seems to follow me around.
And funnily enough, I was showing Jamie, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? I actually found a supplier that makes little body pillows. But yeah, we could definitely oblige on that one.
Yeah. One thing that I've thought about a lot, not even necessarily as a stretch goal, I think we could possibly even do this as Patreon content, is I haven't been able to pick up the slack when it comes to streaming. You guys have been leading from the front on that in that sense.
Yeah,
I've done one.
Well,
but yeah,
it's more than
I've joined in a few.
It's more than my zero, buddy. I'll put it that way. So go and check out.
All I'm going to say is check out twitch.tv/Hot Panic.
Yes, go and follow both Jonesy and Chris on Twitch.
Yeah, what's your one, Jonesy, again? SuperShow Jonesy.
SuperShow Jonesy.
But one thing I realised I can do is that with the way PCs work nowadays, recording gameplay is actually super easy. So I thought at some point maybe I'll just do a Let's Play with you guys and then just sit on that and edit it over the course of a couple of weeks, because obviously we're still busy with the other things going on in our lives. But that would be a fun little way just to do something gameplay related on my end without streaming.
I've been wanting to do it on Resident Evil 3 with you guys.
Yes.
But the plan was to actually just, you guys come over here, we sit on my fucking couch and record it. But
that's the way to do it.
Way back in March when that kind of thing felt somewhat feasible, maybe if we timed it right.
No, hey, give it another month, maybe.
At the rate things are being relaxed, we probably wouldn't be frowned at too badly for doing it next month, but still, we have to be somewhat careful, of course.
Yeah. All right.
Although saying that, now, given what the rules are, Chris, you or I could invite Jamie into our bubbles. We could have him in.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he could stay the night. There you go. You could even have him stay.
Yeah. I hope you like sleeping on the floor, Jamie. Okay, moving on.
I'd give you a bed. Just saying.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so the next comment coming from Limey Joe, and he's quoting me in the previous podcast. I don't want to play as a 40-year-old mom. And then he says, are we, male gamers, so superficial that we will pass on a game because the protagonist isn't pretty enough? That's not a judgment. He does say it's not a judgment. It's a genuine question. Maybe it depends on how old you are, because my reaction to the protagonist was not the same as yours. And I think that's a fair comment.
Can I start with it? Because this is, I want to say that, Chris is that superficial. Like, I did not have the same reaction to that at all. I saw that trailer and was like, oh, that looks like an interesting game. And I even think that protagonist kind of fits with quite a few other, there's quite a few protagonists that are women or, older women or whatever. And yeah, I didn't even notice really. But I think Chris immediately was like, I ain't playing as no mom. So fair enough.
I just thought, it just struck me as kind of an odd choice. I wouldn't necessarily say, obviously I was being spicy about it. Oh, I don't want to play as a 40-year-old Karen, And to be fair, I probably don't. If the game's good, I mean, who cares? But it just seemed like such an odd choice to me. I'm not saying that all our protagonists need to be pretty or... I
don't think it's pretty. It's more like interesting looking, I suppose. And that character was just maybe a little bit plain, but I have
like super generic soccer mom. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. It just. But
she was in a spacesuit, Chris.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. But that's it. What is someone like that doing in a spacesuit? That's not. You should never pass a fucking physical.
Dude, that's what astronauts look like.
You're not wrong. No, you're not wrong.
You've ever seen an astronaut? They don't look like some crazy like. They don't look like Nathan Drake or Kratos or friggin' Aloy. They look like 40-year-old mums and dads.
He's not wrong.
You are right. Yeah, you are right.
Who's the most famous one? Who's that really famous one who plays the guitar and he's like bald with just a little tash?
Yeah,
he's cool.
Chris something?
Yeah, I think it's Chris something. Yeah.
Chris Redfield, yeah.
Big time.
He's a cool dude. I just thought that maybe there was a opportunity to have something a little bit special and unique there that I think they just fluffed up because it was so generic. Like if you think about, I'll never forget this about Blizzard games, right? I was watching this one documentary and they're talking about, it wasn't a doc, maybe it was a blog post or something. Basically saying that like the way that they create their characters is they make sure that if you just have the silhouette of that character, you can instantly tell who it is.
But then they make fucking monsters and aliens. We're talking about humans. The only way your silhouette can be different if you're a human is if you've got an afro or you're a fat guy.
Okay, no, but that's fair enough. But if you had to say to me, I mean, we're not good at drawing, right? But if you had to say to me, draw Kratos, I could draw you what Kratos looks like. If you had to say
and if you saw the silhouette of your drawing, I'd say you just drew a dude.
No, and that's fair. I'm not necessarily talking about the silhouette, dude. What I'm saying is each character has an opportunity to have a little bit of a definition that can characterize them, right? Mm-hmm. To be fair, maybe their characterization of this is, look, I'm a soccer mom. So,
right. Like, on the one hand, we're kind of, or like you were just saying that you think that it was somewhat generic and a missed opportunity to do something different. On the other hand,
it is
here we are, talking about the protagonist of a game that was one of 25 shown, like a little indie game in the PlayStation event from Housemarque, and we're still talking about her. Like, that's something.
To be fair.
I kind of disagree a little way as well, because I get the idea of the silhouette of the character needs to be recognisable, but isn't one of the main things about sort of characters in games, especially these days, and some of the best characters of games gone by, is what that character develops to become. Like, think of someone like Gordon Freeman, right? If you'd have seen him at the very beginning of Half-Life, like, he's kind of a plain looking boring dude, but then you imagine him in this suit is it like an orange hazmat suit thing?
Yeah.
And with the glasses and all of that. I don't think you'd recognize him in a silhouette from the early game stuff, but then when you see him nowadays, it's like, oh shit, that, it's one of the most recognizable characters in the whole of gaming.
And I mean, to be fair, we're not going to say that this space woman Karen is going to be on the same level as Gordon Freeman. But what I'm saying is, like, even Gordon Freeman is quite an iconic look, right? Even though, like, in terms of...
Yeah, but don't you think that's now? That's after the years of development, the years of being in it, the years of...
But even so, there was still something about him, right? It was like, oh, it's the glasses, the haircut, the goatee. The goatee is a choice, right? Like, if you didn't have the goatee, then I would completely agree. Most generic of generic. But
you can't see a goatee in a silhouette.
No, but that's why I had said to Jamie's point that I'm not necessarily talking about the silhouette, but I'm talking about defining features.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also the silhouette, if I'm not mistaken, comes from the kind of the Team Fortress 2 idea of you're creating a group of characters that need to be immediately identifiable so people can see them in the middle of a bit of action and say, that's that character, they can do this. So I think silhouettes play a lot into games like Team Fortress 2 and Apex Legends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe a little bit less so in a narrative. But Chris is right, like, they created the most famous goatee in gaming, whether they wanted to or not. You know, like, and that's kind of cool.
No, for sure. But I think it's become that doesn't happen because they design the character.
Yes.
That happens because the games and what happens to the character is imprinted on our minds, and then we associate the goatee with it.
And we could have had this conversation before Half-Life 1 going like, why would Valve create a whole new big AAA sci-fi FPS around this normal looking dude who looks like he works in an office?
I think I get your point, Chris, but I do kind of get I quite like the idea of the unassuming character, and then because also it helps that you can project more onto them. I suppose you're not taking any stereotypes away. You're kind of going, okay, I'm open to see what this game is and what this character becomes. Whereas if you kind of take someone who looks a very specific way. Like this, I find this in real life as well. If you think of your friends or people you know who have a very definite look and they're really trying to push an image, then think of your friends who, if I then think of my friends who are the people that have the most interesting, weird, crazy lives, they often look kind of boring because their life is so incredible that they don't worry about the look.
They're not in a video game that needs to be sold.
No, that's true.
To the
that's
masses.
true.
Look,
very true.
All I'm saying is, I hope you don't.
I don't get me wrong. I don't want Aloy to look like some sort of like bored teen in a denim shirt and just some khaki trousers.
Billie Eilish is Aloy.
Don't you slag off Billie Eilish, mate.
She's going to pop up. She's going to be in Life is Strange 3 at this rate. That's her future.
Right, but at least I hope that I've explained it a little bit more clearly as to why I found it odd. But I will concede that Jamie's point in saying that maybe the defining feature about her is that she doesn't seem like she would belong in a game, but then also adding on to Jonesy's point of saying it's probably more life accurate that she would look the way she looks. So
if I could flag one person from like everyone loves as a character, it would be somebody like Ellen Ripley, right? Ellen Ripley just looks like a mum, and she is one of the my favorite characters in in sort of sci-fi and in that sort of thing. Just more because it's her progression that I think is so incredible.
But again, the way that she looks, there was a thought process behind it, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, you're right.
And maybe there is a thought process behind having a 40-year-old soccer mom Karen in this game.
In a spacesuit.
But
she takes off the spacesuit and she's a friggin' robot. She doesn't have a real
body. No, she's not a robot. She's ripped. She's like proper, like shredded.
Absolutely shredded.
No, that gets your game in trouble nowadays. Trust me. As we saw in The Last of Us 2, no ripped ladies. No ripped ladies.
By the way, by the time you're listening,
muscles out of gaming.
By the time you're listening to this podcast, that game would be released, but we have not played it yet. So, look forward to us talking about it maybe next week's podcast.
Yeah, that seems like a good candidate for a Patreon exclusive podcast at some point of the spoiler variety.
Yeah, because we did a spoiler cast, or as I like to redub it, a shit cast about Final Fantasy VII. So I think this one's going to be spicy as well. But yeah, speaking about things, fellas, that we have not, that we would have missed because of the time that we record this and the time that the podcast goes out, we are going to completely miss EA Play.
It's true. Indeed. It's true. It's at midnight tonight our time, yeah.
Yeah, by the time you are watching this, EA Play would have happened and a bunch of announcements would have come out that we cannot talk about because we do not have, the gift of foreskin. Sorry, foresight.
It's foresight.
Foresight. Yeah.
I do have the gift of foreskin. And I can tell you, it's not always a gift. Sometimes it's more a curse than a blessing. But most of the time, it's more of a blessing than a curse.
Hold on, is yours more turtleneck or is it more an anteater?
More anteater than turtle. Wait, I think
about full-on elephant.
No. Mine's the further. I can't really picture what an anteater looks like.
I don't want to know this.
What about a half?
Actually, Jonesy's right. We shouldn't talk about this.
Every episode recently goes so weird super early on.
That's why That's why at least 1,000 people.
I'm
glad
Josie pumped the brakes there because I was far too willing to expand on.
However, on the next After Dark, we will go into detail about the Jamie's anatomy.
Yeah, so if you want to hear about Jamie's foreskin, make sure you pledge at least $5.
No, please. If we get any new,
we've just lost patrons.
If we get any new patrons this week after this podcast, I'm immediately blocking them because. I'm going to grow immediately suspicious of their reasons for getting involved.
Right. Well, anyway, okay. Look, but before we go into the news section of it, there's been some stuff to catch up on ourselves, I guess, with what we've been playing and what we've been doing again, because we missed it last week because we just covered the PlayStation.
Right.
So I'm going to start off with you, Jonesy. What other than dad life?
Lots of dad life. I've been playing a decent chunk of Warzone. I've had a couple of absolute shockers.
Yeah.
I was, as I was telling both you, Chris, earlier, and Jamie already knew, he killed me on purpose. Got me to second position. He didn't kill me on purpose. It was an easy mistake to make, and I shouldn't have listened to him, but I did. But you know what? Let's be honest. I would have died anyway. I can't. I'm too shit at that game. Yeah. I don't much give up. Should
we lay it on the line so people understand it? Jamie is much better than me and Jonesy combined.
Yeah.
So,
but Jones is absolutely right. I had a massive lapse of concentration and just completely got him killed.
No, but it wasn't you. Like, it was the funny thing was, right. So I don't know if anyone out there gets this. If you play with a mate of yours who's a lot better at a game than you, you maybe pay too much attention to what they say. So I knew that the gas was coming. It was gonna kill me if I didn't move. Jamie was like, "No, dude, you don't need to go yet. Wait." The gas came, it killed me. And he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were in a position you couldn't get out of." I should have gone. I was like a cult follower sitting there going, "Okay, I'll just sit and wait."
This is what I was going to say, Jonesy. Whose fault is it ultimately? Is it Jamie's or was it you? You're the person controlling the character, right?
Yeah, I should have gone, "Shut up, Jamie." I should have just gone. Right. Basically, what happened? I would have died immediately by the two dudes that I knew were waiting just past the point where I was. I've also been playing a bit of Bad Company 2.
Yes.
Spicy.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I get you.
I've played a decent chunk of that because I had it back in the day. I finished Bad Company 1 and loved it. It was one of my favourite games when it came out. Got Bad Company 2, but I don't remember why I didn't finish it, but I only got sort of half the way through. But back then, I used to finish a lot. Like always, used to finish games because there were a few of them coming out.
Always used to finish games. Yeah, okay.
Not always, but a lot more. Not regularly. A lot more regularly.
The cracks are starting to show already, Jonesy.
But yes, it was one that I never finished, and so I got it on Steam a couple of weeks ago, and I've been playing through that, and it is. Do you know what? Very playable.
High praise indeed. High praise indeed.
Slap that on the box. This game is very playable.
I always worry that in this day and age, when you try and jump back into a game, the genre has moved on so far that you are going to struggle to even engage with it. But the writing in it is so good. It's funny. It's got a lot of charm to it, and the gameplay is wicked as well. I mean, it kind of fits. There's a few things here and there that feel old, feel a bit dated.
Fair enough. You kind of got me wanting to jump back into it myself. So yeah. Okay.
It's a cool game, man. My favourite part of that game is the camaraderie and the chat between the characters. It feels like a movie. It feels like they basically could take that game, transpose it into a film, and you'd be like, "Oh, these characters work. I don't need anything else." So yeah, a lot of fun.
What about BioShock or Death Stranding? Or,
I haven't touched my PlayStation 4 for about 2 weeks, I think.
Oh, okay.
No, I did because I pre-loaded The Last of Us Part 2.
Nice. I still need to order it. I'm going to order it today, probably after this podcast. To be fair.
Oh, dude, clock's ticking.
No, but I'm not going to be able to play it tonight. I don't think. So yeah.
Fair enough.
So this is interesting. I might live stream the first few hours of Last of Us Part 2 tonight, which now will be yesterday for everyone who's watching this. Or listen to this. So they'll know whether I did or not.
They always say
over at twitch.tv/SuperShow Jonesy.
Indeed.
Yeah, they always say the best form of promotion is the promotion you do after the event.
Hindsight promotion.
That's why it's great because this is irrelevant.
It's like you know Christopher Nolan's Tenet.
Yeah,
it's like that. Except Jonesy's got the Tenet marketing going.
I don't think I like the look of that film. I think I'm coming.
Oh, dude, I'm so down.
Good.
I think I'm like.
The funny thing is, I am a little bit about a lot of Christopher Nolan's films, but all of them pretty much at one point in time have had me completely hooked. Even Interstellar, like watching that in the cinema, which is basically, I think, almost the only way to watch that film and enjoy it nowadays, because watching that on a small screen or with headphones, like it just wouldn't.
I've had a compulsion to watch it though lately, you know what I mean?
I've had that with Inception. And then there's the Prestige,
this
which
last
was,
time, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did. But yeah,
what
like
about Insomnia, dude?
Insomnia, yeah, like Dunkirk. I haven't seen since the cinema, and I very much like that.
I just think films is Memento. So there you go.
There you go.
Always watch that.
Yeah. Like I know it's a bit of a meme that he makes things that he wants to put on the big screen, and everyone should go to the cinema and stuff like that. Big cinematic event. But at the same time, I kind of get it. When I watch those Tenet trailers, I think I want to know more about this, and I do want to see it on a big screen now more so than ever. As I think I only saw 2 films in the cinema this entire calendar year, and neither of them were good.
What were they?
They were Sonic the Hedgehog and The Gentleman.
I think it was Birds of Prey this year. I'm pretty sure
it was. Yeah, it was.
I liked that. That was a good film. Also, foreshadowing something we might talk about later on. So there you go.
There you go. Little tease.
The one other thing I have to mention, of course, is once again I'm giving something away on my YouTube channel, SuperShow Jonesy, and it's right there.
Quick, Jonesy, what is it?
Away.
What is it?
I'm not telling you, but it's sitting there. It's going to get given away on Saturday. Well, no, actually, to be fair, someone already guessed it. So the person who guessed it has already guessed it, so you can't win it now. But I'll be revealing it, busting it out on Saturday, and giving people the chance to win something else. So if anyone listening wants to win something, potentially, you just got to guess. I give clues, and you got to guess what it is I'm giving away.
Where can they find it, Jones?
Guess first. At SuperShow Jonesy. Or no, just Google SuperShow Jonesy. Not Google. YouTube search SuperShow Jonesy. All one word.
Yeah, I can confirm that all one word, because I tried to search SuperShow space Jonesy, and the SuperShow podcast came up, but no Jonesy. So
no, yeah, you've got to go SuperShow Jonesy. But hey, that's me. That's me for this week.
What about you, Jim Jams?
I've had a bit of a weird week just because I didn't want to start anything too big in light of what we've actually got to play this week.
Yeah.
Today, in fact, tonight. And so I didn't start anything new. I kind of hovered around a few things. Chris, you'll be a little bit disappointed in me. I actually fired up Dead Cells yesterday for the first time in, I think, about 13 months. Wow. And I made it out of the first stage, the first area. And it was like, okay. This is still Dead Cells. I don't know what I was expecting. I think I knew that game had been updated so many times since I last played it that subconsciously I was expecting not a dramatically different experience, but something that made me go, oh, okay. I didn't.
I think the challenge with that, though, is a lot of the stuff that they would have released, you still have to unlock because it's a rogue.
Right, exactly.
And you need to play it and unlock those weapons, or do whatever that is. There's also I don't know if you played the Giant DLC that came out.
No.
But that's like in the starting area, there's like a giant door, and you can break through it and then start like a Giants DLC, which takes you to a different place. But anyway,
yeah, that's the thing. I was almost a little bit too out of the loop to appreciate what they'd actually done and what might have been new.
I can understand.
Then I also thought about starting one of the games from the itch.io bundle that was doing the rounds last week, because I picked that up, and there were some games in there I really wanted to try that I hadn't got around to over the years.
What was it?
Well, the one I didn't in the end, but the one I nearly did was there's a game called A Short Hike, which is apparently, as the name would suggest, a pretty short game as well. And I've heard a lot of positive things. I wanted to try it out, but in the end, I basically just played a fair amount of Warzone and a fair amount of Battlefront 2, of all things. We're taking advantage of the fact that
I forgot we played that.
Yeah, we did. Played that with Jonesy, played that with Ruffle, and even played that with Ruffle being Martin from Just Interesting, sorry, and even Robin also from the Just Interesting podcast dropped on for a little bit.
Yeah, I need to get on that with you guys as well.
Yeah, that's one of those. It's like it's not easy. We do the co-op missions most of the time, but it is still relaxed. Like it still feels like a no pressure co-op. It's almost like we're playing a Left 4 Dead campaign or something like that. It's just 4 players just shooting things.
Yeah, fair enough.
The other weird thing I wanted to give a shout out to is a movie that I remember when this came out. I remember thinking, oh, that's kind of interesting. Looked it up recently when it popped back into my head. Saw it was actually meant to be okay, so I went and sought it out and watched it, and it was indeed okay. And that's Mortal Kombat Legends: Scorpion's Revenge.
Wow. It's animated, right?
That's right. It was an animated Mortal Kombat film that actually only came out in April a couple of months ago. it doesn't really have much in the way of stars. There's an actress called Jennifer Carpenter who's best known for being Dexter's sister and one of the friends in White Chicks. She plays Sonya, and Joel McHale of Community fame.
Okay, yeah.
He's Johnny Cage, but everyone else pretty much is like
good choice for Johnny Cage, actually.
Yeah. But all the actual like ninjas, they've gone for ninja appropriate people, and I think the thing that drew me into it, based on what I read beforehand, and indeed what I liked about it in theory, was that in practice rather, was that it is really fucking violent, like in a unique way. It's got its own version of the X-ray kind of moves from the recent Mortal Kombat games, but I don't know, when you see an animated Mortal Kombat film with a couple of big names, you kind of think, it's probably like a PG-13, but no, this is like a legitimately violent, like exposed bones, exposed brains, eyeballs popping out,
which is what it should be, right? Like,
absolutely,
it's got to be.
Absolutely.
You can't have like a PG-13 Mortal Kombat anime. Like, it doesn't.
No, it is full on. Like I think my favorite, a couple of my favorites at least, Scorpion throwing out his sort of his chain, his dagger on a chain. It goes Wanted style, goes through the heads of 3 different people. He then yanks it back. All 3 of their heads like knocked together and all get ripped off at once with their with their spines hanging off.
Nice.
So there's all kinds of shit like that. Like if you can seek that out, maybe if it's streaming somewhere near you, it's not in the UK, unfortunately, but if it is in the States, then that's an easy 1 hour, 20-minute long revenge story full of Mortal Kombat style violence. And it's pretty well animated as well. So
that sounds cool.
Yeah.
All right, nice.
Can I give if Jamie, if you're done, can I give a really quick shout out to something I was watching and I totally forgot about because it's actually pretty funny.
Good.
Space Force on Netflix.
Okay.
I have been enjoying. I heard so
have
much crap about that.
Have you finished watching it?
No, I think I'm like 9-10 episodes in or 8 episodes in or something like that. I don't know how many there are.
Yeah.
Oh, then no. I've at least got like 1 or 2 left. Been enjoying it. John Malkovich and what's his name?
Steve Carell.
Yes, Steve Carell, of course. Actually, yeah, like very enjoyable, funny. Lisa Kudrow's in it as well, sporadically.
Yeah.
But yeah, good.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that as well, Jonesy. I wasn't too hot on it. I thought it was fine. I just didn't think it was very funny. But I will say, John Malkovich's character, it's a revelation. He is so good.
It's weirdly not fun. Don't you think it's more like The Office as opposed to a normal Steve Carell thing? It's not like directly funny. It's kind of like a weird. I think it's trying to be slightly charming.
But it's.
I think it's from the same writers, right, as the American Office. Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't. I guess like whereas The Office kind of has that. I don't know, like it's not outright humor. You're right, but there is humor there. There's a lot of humor there. Whereas I think this one is very light on the humor and just going for the charm offensive, and that's why I said like it's okay, it's fine. Maybe they'll fix it in the in the inevitable second season.
Yeah, Netflix.
See, I don't really want them to fix it. I think it's cool, but yeah, fair. It hasn't got good reviews. I don't think is from what I've seen. So they do need to do something. They can't just appeal to me. I guess it doesn't really work.
That was one of those ones where I watched the trailer when it dropped on YouTube, and I'm not saying it's a thing that all shows or movies would have to do, but it didn't make me laugh. And as a comedy, that's usually where I kind of get off the hype train.
It's a warning sign, right?
Yeah.
Can I talk?
But it couldn't. Like, they couldn't really extract a joke. It's kind of weird like that.
Yeah.
There are no jokes to kind of take out.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but with the words you're saying, as much as I appreciate there may well be a charm, and it can still be good. Like when you're describing a comedy as not having jokes, not having jokes, but dude, it is. When Netflix put money into a new show from the creators of The Office with Steve Carell in the lead role and call it a comedy, it's a comedy.
Or it's meant to be a comedy.
Yeah.
It's a comedy in the same way The Martian was a comedy.
The Martian was funnier, dude. The Martian was way funnier.
To be fair, The Martian did have jokes, so that sounds like The Martian's got the upper hand on this one. Well, by the way, while we're doing Netflix, I'll also just throw out there, it's completely irrelevant to gaming, but I am now watching The Last Dance finally.
Yes, Jamie. And how are you feeling about it?
It's very, very good. I'm only 3 episodes in, but it's top quality sports documentary stuff. The timeline jumps around a little bit. I think they've got MJ's timeline all fairly well figured out and put it into nice, distinct chunks. I think the continuity gets a little bit messy when they try and rope in people like Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, whose timelines and their careers don't always match up with MJ's, and so you're kind of darting around to different dates 4 or 5 times an episode, and not struggling to keep tabs on everything, but it is a bit like not as cohesive maybe as it could have been.
Yeah.
But it's still,
you
it's still
get
brilliant.
used to it. You get used to it. I also
I'm
find
sure.
it a bit jarring at first, but you get used to it. You're just like, this is the narrative device that they're going for. This is how it is. Yeah.
I'm all sport all the time right now, and I can tell, like, I'm one of those people who get stupidly emotional about sports, and I'm welling up like I'm welling up once an episode at the moment on The Last Dance.
Wow, okay.
It's good, Jonesy. Honestly, you should watch it, dude. It's so good.
Great stuff.
It's funny how you can have a documentary that's so well made that even if it's not really your wheelhouse, it can still be incredible just because of how well it is.
If you want to watch a documentary and have a good time, watch I'm not going to say any sports documentary, but a sports documentary that's meant to be at least okay. Because sports are like the physical manifestation of the idea of stranger than fiction, where like no one can believe the shit that happens in sports sometimes. Yeah. The twists or the turns and the redemption stories and all that shit, and it's fucking real. That's why it makes me cry like nothing else.
Maradona, Senna, those are all great documentaries.
Right, yeah. I was going to say, if you want like crazy twists, what was the one? Not the Joker. Who's the Jinx? Jinx. That had the best documentary twist. Like, not twist. It wasn't even a twist, was it? Like point though, when you can go, what?
I still haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh man,
it's an HBO thing, I think, and I that was one I watched solely on Jonesy's recommendation. And sure enough, there is a moment in the Jinx that I think, if you haven't had it spoiled for you, is maybe one of the best TV moments ever. And it's only like 4 or 5 episodes. It's a pretty watchable thing.
Yeah.
But no, I'm with you guys. I do think sports documentaries, when you see a good one, they can be like, because I can watch ones about like boxing, which I'm not like into. Right. But if it's well made, it's like, what? This is incredible.
It's like watching Creed. You know, like I'm not into boxing, but I can watch the shit out of Creed all day long. Because it's that kind of it's that kind of aspirational thing, and the same goes for the documentaries. It's like you're showing these people at the peak of their and also their field.
It's real fucking humans. Like it's the ultimate drama. Yeah. It's like it's more dramatic than any TV show, any movie, any soap opera ever, and it's fucking real.
Yeah, very true.
Unreal. Seeing as you guys got to speak about your Netflix things, I'll tell you something that I've been watching.
This is Chris's forte. Here we go.
Look, I'm glad we're expanding into the TV stuff. Every time we've kind of dabbled into it, people have been quite receptive to it. So it's good.
Sure.
It's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some variety. I've been watching this show called White Lines on Netflix.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. So
is it the white lines in question cocaine, Chris? Cocaine.
In a way, but it's also the white lines definition of who you are as a person.
Ooh, I love it.
But from what I understand, now I'm stand to be corrected because, well, here's the thing, okay? I saw the trailer. I was down for the trailer. I was like, this looks like a good old romp. I started watching it, and I'm like, it's a bit average. There's something about, like, there's enough there to kind of keep you wanting to watch it, but that's like the A to Z, right? But then all the letters in between is just like, why? Why am I sitting through this? You know, it's almost like you want to watch the recaps after each episode and then just get the story. There's an overarching mystery. Obviously, like this one girl's brother goes to Ibiza and dies 20 years ago. His body gets found in present day. She goes to Spain to kind of figure it all out. And it's all this kind of like, you know, DJs and club owners and how they all like fucking
This isn't like secretly the origin story of the Venga Boys or something.
It might be.
Oh, we're going to Ibiza.
Look, there's some cool moments in the show, but it's just something.
I'm not going to lie, I still have no idea what it is based on your description. I'm sorry.
I don't even think the showrunners know what it is.
Right. It sounds interesting, though.
I think Chris's relationship with Netflix, as he gets to the end of the day, the end of the evening even, the little one's been put to sleep, he just like throws himself onto a sofa and starts dying, and it doesn't matter what's on the TV in front of him, as long as it satisfies the eyes and the ears and the senses are taken up.
You fucking nailed it so much, my dude. You have no idea. Yeah. It's like I could like jump on that couch and my fucking extruded asshole from the day would press a button and it would play White Lines. I'd be like, okay, I'll watch this.
Yeah.
And then if it's good, it's a bonus, right?
Yeah. Pity that it's not, but it's not bad. It's just very. I don't know, it just kind of, maybe it's just my old age cynicism kicking in, but just everything's being a bit kind of fucking mediocre lately. I don't know. But yeah, other than that, games-wise, been playing loads of, well, I say loads, a bit of Warzone with you guys on my stream. I don't play it unless I'm streaming with you guys. So that's probably a reason why I'm not too good at it. I've been playing some Command & Conquer Remastered, which is fucking delicious. It's so nice.
I caught some of that on your stream. You seem to enjoy it on stream, but
yeah, it's
the
good.
one thing that kind of I thought was odd was that mode where you can switch between the new look and the old look.
Oh yeah, just by pressing the spacebar. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I liked it.
There wasn't a massive difference between the two. Enough of a difference.
Dude, there's a massive. But the one criticism I have of Command & Conquer Remastered is it's a very faithful remaster. So they've taken, for better or worse, everything from those core games and just put a new shine to it, right? It's not a remake, it's just a remaster. But I felt like they've added a few quality of life things, like a build order queue, but I feel like the AI is a massive problem for me. The pathfinding in that game is absolute dog shit. And the AI, it's almost like an enemy can come towards your group of units and just start shooting at them, and it would be a coin flip if they shoot back.
Is that short? I suppose is not that something simple like that they're always set to like passive kind of mode, and you can just turn them onto hardcore aggressive, and then they'll always return fire. Or no,
I don't think it's like that, because then you'd think it would be an easy fix or at least a toggle, right? But no, it doesn't seem to be. It just seems to be just they've taken the AI as it was at the day and completely untinkered with, just put it in, which is fair. You know, that's what it's advertised as, so it's not like a misrepresentation. But again, I just think it was a missed opportunity to kind of improve it just that little bit more. But I am enjoying it. I am enjoying it for sure. And I've been playing some Dota. Not going to bore you guys with that. It's nothing interesting to tell you in terms of that. But I do want to talk about the stream that we did on, when was it? Tuesday for Warzone.
Yep.
So I started off playing.
Whatever day. Was it Tuesday? Was it that long ago? Jesus.
Yeah, Christ. It was Tuesday.
Yeah, it was Tuesday.
Wow. My life is disappearing before my eyes.
So you guys were busy, so I started playing off with Steph, good old Mayo Sandwich, and Martin from Just Interesting. We were having a tough time. Hard to kind of break into top 20, right? Then they left. I think they left, maybe we hit a top 10. Then they left. I played one solo game, which was my first solo game ever, and I think I came 7th.
Nice.
Which I was okay with. And then you guys joined, and we started playing some games. Did not pan out too well until that last game, where, funnily enough, we had landed. Where did we land in Boneyard?
I can't remember.
I don't think we landed in Boneyard at any point in that one.
Yeah,
but I might be wrong.
There was, anyway. We landed somewhere, and I remember Jamie saying, "Well, this is going to be a really shit way to end the stream on a loss." Like, just as we were touching ground, I was like, "Wow, thanks, Jamie, for the."
I think it might have been Promenade, you know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was somewhere around Promenade. But anyway, a little bit of a ropey start. I think I died like almost straight away, but got out of the gulag, and we were just kind of like, this is going to be the last one. I think it was at like 1 a.m. And it's just like, I'm tired, but let's just try and focus as much as possible. And we did seriously well there. We made it into the top 20, we made it into the top 10, and then we made it into the top 5. I think it was like the second last circle.
And we had full team, didn't we? We still had all of us.
We had a full team. We had loads of ammo. We had I think we had some UAVs. We had some good weapons for our situation that we're in. And then I got a bounty on my head. Right, so I had to kind of break away from you guys, and I hid under a bridge. And then you guys were like, "Cool, let's
a troll."
Yeah, like a troll. I was like, "I'll hide under the bridge, guys. Don't worry, they'll never find me." And then my game crashed.
Yeah, man.
And I think we were like top 4 at that stage. And my game crashed, and I was like, my game crashed, my stream crashed, and my Discord crashed. So I couldn't even hear you guys. By the time I managed to get back onto the Discord, you guys were just finishing up the match. I was so angry. Because could have got that win. But I mean, you guys should probably fill in the blanks because you were there. What happened after I got disconnected?
Yeah, we actually don't quite have two different perspectives on it, but obviously it was one of those situations that I think in the moment played out differently for each of us based on what we were and weren't hearing from the other.
Between you and Jonesy.
Yeah, why don't you say first, Jonesy, what you experienced in that moment?
For me,
like
it was kind of
this is like your Jimbo, where it's like three perspectives of the same story, right?
Yeah, I mean, mine and Jonesy, we saw the same things. We saw it was kind of,
I don't know. I thought it was pretty straightforward. Like, so we were in pretty good position. I think there was like a full. I thought there was a full team, or maybe a full team and an extra person. I'm not quite sure. I think I was in quite a good spot. Managed to then sort of engage. I think I engaged two dudes. I think I broke one of their armors and then downed the other one. Or broke one guy, like one of his armors, and then downed another one, but then had like 9 rounds left in my LMG, and then made the terrible decision to reload my LMG rather than
switch weapons.
I think I had a sniper rifle, so I tucked in behind the bridge and was like spending about half an hour to reload, and then they grenaded me. And I think by that point as well, I think Jamie, you'd killed one of them, but then it was basically Jamie against 2 dudes, I think, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, so for anyone super familiar with the Warzone map, this was the bridge that Chris was talking about earlier that he hid under. This was where, at the north end of downtown, where downtown stops and you're reaching Stadium, there's a bridge that goes over an underpass that leads towards farmland. So we were in that underpass, under the bridge, and if you know, up on the road, on the farmland side of things, there's a big, like, highway sign, so it has, like, bollards almost on the road that then, like, that go up, and there's sometimes a shop near there. So they had more cover than we did, but it was one of those weird situations where we had the lower ground, but the ground they were on was flat, so we could still back down in a way that they kind of couldn't. So I went in first because as soon as I saw it would go down to 2 teams, I went in, got the shots off on one of them first, lasered them with a growl, and dropped them. And then when they were dropped, I turned my attention towards a guy who was further away. We basically ended up in an engagement where we were both strafing at the same time, both trying to shoot each other. We both cracked each other's armor. And so I went prone and started putting in my plates, getting ready to go again. At which point, and this is where Jonesy and mine, like, this is where the communication, like, maybe all I can do is call
is this the fact? Because I said I killed one of them, and I meant downed, and then Jane was like, "If you'd said downed, I would have completely changed my tactics."
No. Like, even like basically, like Joan. I don't know how to describe it other than to say, like, I'm telling you people what I believe I saw or what I believe I heard, which is I knocked someone. I heard a call out from Jonesy saying he'd killed some of them. And I thought, okay. At the very minimum, right now there are 2 down and 1 up. So I'm going to push. So I switched to my MP5, ran up the hill, and what I saw was the dude at the back was still standing up. The guy that I had knocked, and again, my interpretation of it, the guy that I had knocked had been rezzed by someone else, so they were stood next to each other. And so I had 3 people shooting me when I came up over the hill. That was what I saw. Again, I can only.
Oh, but this is.
I can only relay my interpretation of the events.
But you can't, because your interpretation's bullshit. Because I've got video footage that I've shared with you of exactly what I did.
No, you absolutely you knocked someone. Said you killed, and you said you killed them, and by the time
I said killed, I said killed, yeah.
I think that at least one of them, if not 2 of them, had. So basically, it was just a poor play altogether, where through a misinterpretation of a few call-outs, I ended up going for the push and getting slaughtered.
Okay,
I think the dude must have rezzed himself. The one I downed, because if I downed one, you downed one, he must have revived him. They both must have revived themselves.
And we definitely didn't down the same person either, because Jonesy's footage, he breaks armor, then downs him. Yeah. So it's very...
I wondered if maybe we'd done it at exactly the same time, and it was the same dude, but I don't think that happens, right? So
yeah. You look at the time to kill, there's no way like a growl with a VLK and your LMG were doing that much damage at the same time, and it took that long. Like, he'd have...
Yeah. Well, I mean, so top 2 result there, which is...
Basically, I had to get my revenge on Jonesy the next day by killing him in a top 2 situation. Mission accomplished. Primo stuff. And then Jonesy went and ditched me, so I went and played with another group of people, got a win immediately after.
Yeah.
Nice.
If we're talking about specific plays in Warzone, I have to flag two brief ones because they were so shit. So one thing they've done in Season 4 is they've switched the M4 to burst, which obviously was fully automatic. So I was playing a match. I literally landed right at the very beginning, got to a scavenger box, popped it open, got an M4, came out of the little room I was in, saw a dude right in front of me, drilled him, thinking he's dead, right? Because he's probably just got a pistol. And I'm just holding my finger down on the mouse button, and I release the first burst, crack his armor, and then he kills me with the pistol. And I'm like, what? And then I realized it's because it was a bloody burst by a gun, and I was expecting him to die, and I didn't realize.
Did you not think it was kind of weird that you were not getting any recoil whatsoever?
It took me so long to, I think it was such I wasn't quite sure how finger on button doesn't translate to bullets coming out.
Just
that I was
imagine
kind
the
of
other guy's perspective, just seeing you like with a fucking rifle in their face, just going.
Well, because we were so close to each other, we were literally like 3-4 meters apart. So I'm just standing, like you say, down scope, and he's like, "What is this prick doing?" But yeah, so then I died. But then another video I shared with you boys, which it was one of the most appalling things I've done in Warzone, was I was in the gulag and someone hit me with a rock as I was running. So I span to the side, thinking that the guy had moved up to shoot me from the side, and he was in front of me. And then I turned back around in time to watch him shoot me in the face. So yeah, it was
Good tactic. The rocks.
I didn't realise you get hurt by the rocks like that much, that it gives you an indicator. But oh yeah,
does give you an indicator. Regrettable, but now you know, and it will never happen again, I'm sure.
Oh, it definitely will.
All right, cool.
Anyway.
Well, look, we've got a lot of news to kind of cover, so let's go through it as soon as we can. I'm going to start off with something that we kind of hinted at, which was being that we are not going to be covering the EA Play because just the time that we record the podcast. So what we do know is going to be shown at EA Play is Star Wars Squadrons, because they released a trailer for it and a little bit of info. So it is going to be a first-person dogfighting game, much like, I guess, Rogue Squadron was. Right. The Rogue Squadron was third person, wasn't it? Anyway, it's meant to be set after Return of the Jedi, but interestingly enough, fellas, single-player and multiplayer campaigns, cross-play support, VR support on PC and PS4.
Indeed. This is not for me.
Said like a 5v5, is that right?
I can't remember if they said that or not, but the trailer certainly heavily implied it.
The trailer said it 5v5, yeah.
Because it's that idea of, like, as they would suggest, squadrons of fighters, which kind of takes away a little bit from the kind of the whole galactic warfare, shit's popping off everywhere thing. But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they did. Or maybe I would be surprised. I don't know. I could see there being some kind of mode where it's 5v5 within a broader thing where there's shit popping off around you. Maybe even to the point where there were like other ships you can interact with, but they're not strictly speaking your enemy.
Wouldn't it be cool if it was more like, or at least add a mode where it is like a full-on battle royale where you have a squad of 5 and there's 20 other 5-man squadrons. You know, that would be really cool.
Oh, what? The only thing that I suppose the trailers definitely suggested it was one team of 5 against another team of 5. So, but you've just reminded me of how Battlefront 1, I think it was, played, or maybe it was 2, with the dogfighting battles that you could do in that, where they had loads of drone AI fighters that you could fight against as well. Yeah. And there was a handful of real players on each team, and then there was like 20, 30 AI controlled ones. And I hated that mode. I thought it was awful because you'd be flying around engaging, like taking out like ship after ship after ship, and you get to the end of the map and it's like, you killed 30, 35 people. 30 of those were AI ships and 5 were other players. And I'm like, well, that's like, what? That sucks.
That's what I loved about Titanfall 2's multiplayer. Because I always felt so powerful because I was killing grunts and whatnot, and then occasionally killing a pilot, and I loved it.
I often felt like I'd been engaging one ship as well, and then the worst thing in that game was when that mode was then when you got killed by a real player, because you were trying to fight you're trying to find the real players, and you just get bladed taken out by one while you're trying to take out an AI, which was I really didn't like it. I thought it was shit, but
fair enough.
There we go.
Yeah.
So Alex Jones not hot on Star Wars Squadrons then. I think it's cool. I've never been too into the kind of the flight sim Star Wars games, but you know, I'm a Star Wars fan, so I'm willing to give it Give it a watch.
It's
Give it a
also,
try.
I believe it's a $40 title, so I don't think we can expect the world from this thing. And who would, based on... Because that's one narrow... Put it this way, Battlefront 2 has dogfighting, missions in the campaign, and has dogfighting modes in the multiplayer. You know, I know this is a new studio, but...
No, it's Motive. It's Motive.
No, I mean, the new studio is in, like, it's not DICE. It also, isn't it Motive's first game?
Yeah, but Motive worked on Battlefront 2.
Yeah, we were just checking out before this. Apparently, they did work on Battlefront 2. So, because funnily enough, I've just this week played some of the campaign for Battlefront 2, and I've just played some dogfighting missions, and they didn't feel great. Like they felt fine. I think fine is how I'd go with it, but it's not something I'd like. Oh, I'd love to play 5v5 in this kind of.
But hey, you know what I can say? A Star Wars game from EA that has a single player component and that will not have microtransactions, as far as I'm aware, that's a win. That's a win. So, more Star Wars games, everyone is a winner, theoretically.
Star Wars games some are incredible. They're some of the best games I've ever played, and some are just toilets. I don't know.
Which Star Wars game was one of the best games you've ever played? Out of curiosity. That's not a weird question. I'm genuinely curious.
So like Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy,
right, yeah.
I love those games. I thought they were fantastic.
I always forget you guys have nostalgia for those ones. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just never played them.
Pod racing.
They're of their time. Pod racing was a lot of fun, but no, like Jedi Academy and Jedi Knight, they're of their time. But Jedi Academy,
Republic
when I played
Commando, dude, one of the best FPS games ever made.
Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace, one of Chris's favorite games of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a good game as well. Like there's been a lot. Even even going back to like the SNES era Star Wars games, I really enjoyed them. Like the side scrolling, where you're Luke and you can like shoot and you're on was it Tatooine, like running, and those are like some of the horrible old SNES games. But at the time they were a lot of fun. But then you get to some of these other Star Wars games that just don't seem to do it for me at all. Like they're just shoddy, built on the Star Wars name, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there we go. But then that does bring up an interesting question, right? If we talk about EA Play releasing Star Wars Squadrons, and obviously they're going to be showing a lot more tonight, or would have already showed stuff by the time you are watching this.
Yeah.
But I guess, Jamie, you had the question of what else are they going to be showing?
Yeah, I guess because EA are sometimes the big unknown. We brought it up on the Discord earlier this week, and I'll be real, there was a lot of pessimism from the folks over there. A lot of people expecting the bare minimum from EA, and I can't really blame them for that because they haven't necessarily had a great track record of going above and beyond in terms of impressing or surprising anyone. But there is still a conversation to be had about what could and could not show up in this context, with a potential for some big games to be revealed or shown off here, and the potential for them to not be, as the case may be. But I don't know what the best way to go through this is. Maybe I throw some names out there and
maybe like a hot takes kind of thing.
Right, I guess we'll start with a big one, and one that, if rumours are to believe, they've actually got a fair few plans for, and that's Apex Legends.
Definitely
we know that they are going to be showing off stuff at Apex Legends because
absolutely.
they have tweeted about it. But
do you want to know what the rumours are? Because some of these are actually pretty interesting. So amongst the things I've heard,
Mozambique's everywhere.
Jonesy's hit the nail on the head. A new Mozambique
character entirely built out of Mozambiques.
No,
His
it's
name
actually
is Mozambique.
Actually, interestingly enough, haven't heard any real rumours about the content of like future seasons or anything like that. It's more logistically about the game, starting with the fact that Apex Legends could get crossplay at EA Play tonight.
Nice.
If crossplay gets announced, we're jumping back into Apex, all right?
Yes.
That is exactly why they've probably announced it, because they need that to happen.
I'm surprised that we're in 2020 and only a handful of games have crossplay. This is like mad. Like as soon as this fucking COVID hit, everyone should have been patching their games for crossplay. That's just, in my mind, it's a no fucking brain.
Yeah, they've got to be reeling off of how the success of Warzone and seeing a dip in how many people are playing on such a big scale. And one of the main reasons, surely, is because we can all jump on, do crossplay on Warzone.
Yeah.
Well, it's what we do every time, literally.
Yeah.
It is. And the other reason is because I think Apex Legends will also clarify its position on the next generation of consoles, which unsurprisingly it would just be like, yes, Apex Legends will be on them, but obviously they need to announce at least some kind of cross-play solution for that as well, because at the very least, at the very bare minimum, you need that PS4 to PS5 crossplay and Xbox One to Series X crossplay.
Yeah, you don't want to fragment the player base too much, right?
Absolutely. That's what Destiny announced the other day. They were unable to announce full-on crossplay. I think Apex Legends could. And in keeping with that, interestingly enough, Chris, I've heard some talk, some chitter-chatter of Apex Legends coming to the Nintendo Switch.
I mean, cool. That's a good get. Obviously, because it's
what's
a free
it going to
game
look
as well.
like on the Switch, though?
Garbage.
Well,
Yeah, absolute trash.
you may be surprised.
trash.
I don't think it's too graphically demanding. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but when you consider the games that have recently made the move and how graphically demanding that, or how graphically sort of ropey they are on the Switch, I just kind of imagine that for any game that comes out, and it
but
doesn't.
you've also it depends, right? Because you've also got some games coming out on this, some ports coming out on the Switch, which look fine. Not great in terms of frame rate. Maybe,
yeah, I
but,
suppose
you
so.
know. But yeah, I think it's a good thing, but I mean, it's not how I would ever want to play Apex.
I could see myself playing Apex like that if out of necessity, but
Right.
that's about it.
Like, if the fact that Apex Legends is free and could simultaneously get wide crossplay makes it like, oh, maybe I'll just keep a version of Apex on my Switch just in case something happens. But I think Jesse's right. It's hard to imagine a scenario where it's preferable.
Because you know what, you say that, right? But I have Apex Legends on my PlayStation. I have Apex Legends on my laptop, okay? If you had to say to me, Chris, directly after recording this podcast, we're going to play Apex Legends, I'm going to be like, cool, I can't do it.
Right.
You know why?
Why?
Because I haven't launched Apex Legends in such a long time. There's probably like 10 fucking updates waiting.
That's true. That's
right.
a good
Yeah,
point.
you know, so it's all fine and well saying like, oh, I'll have it on my Switch and I'll just have it sitting there. But unless you've got your Switch set to like standby mode with auto updates.
I get where you're coming from. That's a good point. It's cool for some people, but clearly, yeah, you're right. Not something for us to get excited about.
Look, if it's your only console, which, you know, let's be honest, like, maybe not for like our generation, but surely for like younger generations where parents are only willing to buy one console for their children, and let's say they've got a Switch. I mean, Switch has sold fucking gangbusters. It makes sense to put it on a large install base console.
Yes,
And,
you're right. You're right.
That's kind of like the end of the story about that one, really.
Yeah, you might soak up a few people, I guess.
You'll soak up
Yeah.
parts, yeah.
Help bump up the numbers.
One of the things I really wish Apex Legends would do is just start introducing Titans as a specific game mode, probably, and just be like have an interesting way of implementing it, because it could be completely OP.
Do they tread on their own toes doing that though because of Titanfall?
Well, no, because
Do you know what I mean? Like blur the lines almost.
well,
to say like,
they've come out, you know, whether you can believe them or not, but Respawn have come out saying that they're not working on Titanfall 3, so it's set in the Titanfall universe for a reason. So add Titans as a game mode.
To be fair, yeah, they are making 3 things at the moment.
I could have sworn at one stage they said they were working on a VR Titanfall.
I believe that was the case, but then that slipped away into the ether, and the Medal of Honor VR game came up in its place.
Yes.
So now they're making Jedi Fallen Order 2, Medal of Honor VR, and still going on Apex. So
yeah,
I'd be very impressed if there were a Titanfall 3 development somewhere in there. As depressing as that is, it sounds like one thing too many for that team.
Yeah, but even so, like what you could do then is you could. Let's put it this way, like Fortnite was really good in kind of figuring out a way to bridge certain genres, as it were, or certain media. So, you've got all these live events in Fortnite, and Fortnite is maybe slowly pivoting away from just being a game service to just being a media service, right?
right.
But why couldn't Respawn be, like, let's put it this way, Apex Legends has a really large install base, probably going to balloon a bit if it releases on the Switch.
Probably at least a little, yeah.
Let's say you're developing Titanfall 3. what's to say that you don't develop Titanfall 3 as a really robust single player campaign, right? And you have this thing where if you have Apex Legends and you have the Titanfall 3 single player, that it creates Titanfall 3 multiplayer for you. Like it unlocks a mode in both of the games. Do you know what I mean? Like,
what?
Wouldn't it
I'm
just
not sure
be
I
like a
understand
module?
that.
Do you mean in the way that Modern Warfare is separate from Warzone? No. You can install one without having the other.
So, because your concern, Jonesy, was that it'll cannibalize their own kind of thing with titles, right?
Not cannibalize the market. Cannibalize just be a bit of a crossover. And do they really want Apex and Titanfall to kind of become one sort of thing?
Yeah, why not? So what I'm saying is like, let's say if you didn't want Apex, okay, but you wanted Titanfall 3 hypothetically, and you wanted a Titanfall 3 multiplayer component, what you would have to do is download Apex, and then Apex, with the fact that you have Titanfall 3 loaded on your machine, would give you this mode that is the Titanfall 3 multiplayer version. Because remember, Apex Legends is free. So,
but how are they taking your money in this scenario?
Titanfall 3.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
I think Chris is saying in order to get Titanfall 3 multiplayer, you need to download the free Apex Legends. And then that means that, oh, look, you've got Apex Legends. Yeah. You could play it if you wanted, but that's kind of like the one thing you do in order to get Titanfall 3 multiplayer is download Legends.
You could almost,
I don't think they do that, man.
You could almost consider it like a reverse Warzone thing, where I've got Warzone downloaded on my PC, but I don't have Modern Warfare. But Modern Warfare is in the client.
But you've just made people download a 40-odd gig game that they don't even want to play just so they can play the multiplayer.
Or maybe it's a case of in Apex Legends, it's like, hey, we're going to patch in fucking the single player component of this game, which is going to be Titanfall 3, and then you just pay an amount to unlock it.
I don't feel like that any of that's that likely, if I'm being honest. I do think one thing they could do, which would be kind of Fortnite-y and would be legitimately wicked, I would say, is if they patched Apex Legends to have some addition, which is a small contained area maybe of the map, whereby you could go and get in a Titan. And the whole thing was like a cheeky little thing to say, hey, Titanfall 3 is coming. And then maybe like a small arena where the Titans were stuck in the arena and you could jump in one, and just as like a little, oh look, it's coming. But I don't really think it's likely.
You need to remember. We started this conversation by establishing how impossible it was that Titanfall 3 even in development. Right, then we then spent the next 20 minutes discussing all the various marketing and promotion ideas that Respawn could integrate to a non-existent game. So yeah.
The irony is that the one game I want Respawn to work on is Titanfall 3, and the other games I'm not that bothered about now at the moment is anything extra on Apex Legends is... do you know what? Jedi Fallen Order 2 would be cool. But yeah, I'd just like them to crack on with Titanfall 3. But they're not going to do it because I want them to do it.
Yeah, you and me
Should we crack on with EA Play then and get back on track?
So one thing we know is not going to be EA Play is Titanfall 3.
Well, never say never, but never. EA Sports, unsurprisingly, the big sporty arm of EA's publishing and developing game is going to be there in full force. We believe there are going to be 4 sports titles there. Any guesses as to the 4?
Jonesy, are you drinking sake?
Water. No, I know it looks like that. It's water, but I had it in a flask. It's the only flask I could find. It's got a little cup.
He's just had these little cups. He's just like...
Very dainty, just doing shots of sake.
There we go. Okay, carry on.
We believe
Sports, Madden 21.
That's one of them. There are 4 sports titles. Any guesses? 3 of them should be easy. The 4th one... FIFA, Madden, correct.
What the fuck do they... Well, I don't even know what other sport games they do.
Oh, wow. Looking for 2 more. One of them comes out literally every year.
Probably. Oh, is it not baseball?
They don't make that.
No, they don't make MLB.
Do they not make that?
It'll be big.
UFC?
It'll be big.
Do they make UFC?
They make UFC. They make UFC. Is that a guess?
So yeah, UFC.
Jonesy's correct. UFC 4 will almost certainly be announced tonight. But you're missing the big annualized one. Probably pretty big in Canada, Scandinavia, Russia.
Ice hockey?
Yeah, it's NHL. So yeah, Madden, FIFA, NHL 21s, and UFC 4 probably all going to be there tonight. No Fight Night, and no NBA, and no PGA.
Interesting.
In fact, no golf at all. The PGA license is now with 2K, who are teaming up with the golf club to make.
Okay.
They're getting the team who made the golf club to make PGA 2K21 or something. Anyway, moving quickly on. The next one's kind of a question mark. We know they're doing stuff. We don't know how much of it we'll see, and that's the big B, BioWare. So I guess
do we see Anthem 2.0?
Yeah. So the three things we could see are Anthem 2.0, Dragon Age 4, and a remastered Mass Effect trilogy.
We know about the third one, right?
Well, we know
Confirmed rumors, Jones.
No, here's the thing. We know all three of those are in production. There's no question about that. The weird thing is
Anthem 2.0 confirmed?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think so anyway. God, you've got me doubting it now.
Yeah, definitely.
No, the weird thing is that the rumor is actually somewhat counterintuitive. The rumor going around is that for whatever reason, the Mass Effect trilogy remaster will not be at EA Play tonight. That's the rumor.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they're holding it for some kind of a Nintendo Direct or something.
Maybe, because apparently it's coming out this year. It could be that they wait till is it like N13, the whole November thing, tying in the Mass Effect stuff. But
That
the rumor is that despite being scheduled for this year, it will not be at EA Play. Do you think we see any Dragon Age or Anthem though?
I think you have to have some Anthem, dude. Like,
I'd be amazed if Anthem's there.
Really?
I genuinely like you saying it's confirmed. Like, it blows me away, man. Unless that game is unless they have done everything they need to do to make, to blow everyone away with, oh my god, they've saved it. Like, I think any play with Anthem is deadly for them.
But they have committed to it, Jonesy. They've strong committed to fixing Anthem.
Yeah.
And I think if they go to this thing, I mean, people listening to this will know, but whether it happened or not, it's a little bit redundant. But I think if you go there and you don't say anything about the high-profile failure and your solid, concrete, visible plans as to how you're going to fix it, I think you've done something wrong.
No, I suppose so. Yeah, I think maybe you're right. I just can't see it happening. It feels like a poison pill that you put it into anything and it's going to do badly. Like it always, to me, it almost is like a thing that you separate off, you take away, and after EA Play is done in a few weeks or a month or whatever, then you show something, and because you don't want to. You don't want the online, because imagine the memes that get dropped after EA Play if they say anything about any big thing about Anthem. Like, to me, it's almost like when they were talking about Jesus Christ, what's it called? Fallout 76. As soon as they mention Fallout 76, like it gets everyone just starts going, oh, what a shit game! Or they haven't even acknowledged the fact that it was awful, and I don't know. It seems like a mistake to me. But hey, man, we'll see the memes tomorrow if they do.
Yeah, we'll know all about it in the comments. Where they're like, "Oh, you guys are idiots."
Indeed, I kind of think Jones, he's right. I've got a feeling they won't show Anthem.
Wow.
I think they. I 100% agree with Chris's reasoning as to why they should, but I agree with Jonesy's reasoning as to why they won't. If that makes sense.
Yes, hold on. Have you just solidly sat on the fence so that you're right either way?
No. I'm saying point blank they won't show Anthem. That's my prediction.
Oh, cool. Okay, right.
I'm just saying. No, I'm saying I agree with Chris's reasoning as to why they should.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it would make sense for them to.
Dragon Age Inquisition. Yeah, I think there'll be something there.
You think there'll be some Dragon Age tease?
Yeah. I don't think there'll be anything substantial, but I think there'll be maybe like a teaser trailer or something.
I'm going to also do the classic EA move. If you're noticing a trend here, stop me. They're not going to show it. I don't think. I'm getting it into my head now that I don't think EA are going to do anything cool tonight. I hope I'm wrong.
Think Dragon Age.
Okay, hold on. The thing that's going to be big for a lot of people. What about DICE?
See, DICE. Here's the thing. 3 years since Battlefront 2, 2 years since Battlefield 5. Recently announced that Battlefield 5 support has been ceased.
Yes.
And of course, there has been
much to Peasward's dismay.
Much to Peasward's dismay, absolutely. And there's
kind of unfair to Battlefield 5 in some ways, man. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's unfair.
Well,
sorry. I mean
only,
the fact that it wasn't a bad game. It was a fun game. Like I kind of think it's well, whatever.
I think it's not unfair as long as there's a known quantity next, right? Like that should be the cycle.
An underwhelming entry in a Battlefield series getting 18 months of support. Fine, yeah. Okay, cool.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Don't waste it. Don't spend any more money on it. The weird thing is basically that conversation around Battlefield 6 is obviously heating up, and there have been a lot of insiders, people in the know, leakers, and so on and so forth that have talked about it directly or indirectly. Lots of mention to the fact that it's returning to a modern day setting after Battlefield 3 and 4. The question is it ready for this year? Because DICE and EA tend to show Battlefield games and Battlefront games the summer before they come out. Yeah. If Battlefield 6 is not a 2020 release, and I've got a feeling it's not, then I think this might be another one that doesn't make the cut. I hope I'm not being too pessimistic here, but
So hold on. So what you're saying is, if they don't show anything today, then that means there's not going to be a Battlefield 6 coming out next year. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think I think that Battlefield 5 and Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 1 and so on, as far back as I can remember, they tend to debut the Battlefield game in the summer it comes out.
Oh, I see. So maybe holiday this year. It would.
So I've got a feeling that Battlefield 6 is not ready for the holiday this year, and as such will not be at EA Play this year. That's my gut feeling, but I might.
And if they've got Star Wars Squadrons, you'd think that they wouldn't have a Battlefront 3.
Correct. Yeah. I think Battlefront 3 is on the back burner. I think Battlefield 6 gets finished first.
Yeah.
I think they do have some semblance of multiple teams, because obviously Battlefield 5 and Battlefront 2 were a year apart, so clearly they were being co-developed at a point, which also means that the entirety of DICE...
What about an entirely new IP? If they've got multiple teams, one is obviously working on
not impossible.
Battlefield 6, and then maybe another IP?
Not impossible. I think there will be a surprise of some nature somewhere in this show. I just don't know where it comes from.
Yeah, but what if the surprise is like a new fucking Sims game?
It absolutely could be. Like The Sims 5 would be a big surprise and a huge game reveal.
I'm going to say it now, purely because I played it this week. Bad Company 3 is what DICE are going to drop on us tonight.
Dude, if they do that, then they might redeem what so far is shaping up to be a pretty lackluster EA play.
Yeah. In fact, I wonder if we should quickly clear up. There's one more category of games to clear up, and then maybe we do get into the real redemption arc, talk about a couple of franchises they could go back to the well on that would... so that basically, to get it out of the way, EA Originals program is still in full force, and we will see something from it, maybe even multiple things from it tonight.
100%.
We know that Hazelight and Joseph Fares, who made A Way Out, the co-op prisoner escape game, and he made Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons before that, they're going to be out there tonight showing off their new game.
Or I hope the dude is there coked up out of his mind.
Dude, at this point, EA know that putting that guy on stage leads to memes and GIFs and conversation. So you just do it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you actually give him the coke. Physically, even if he doesn't want it, you just like
no man, I'm
blow
clean.
It in,
Take it.
Blow it in his face and just
fucking hell. You're probably right.
Lock him in a cupboard where it's just full up to here, and
he's like, no, I'm a recovering Narcotics Anonymous. No, don't do it. It's like, shut up, you're making us money. Shut it in his face.
Jesus.
A developer called Zoink, who made a game you guys might remember called Fe, just spelled F-E.
Oh, yeah.
They have a game called Lost in Random that may well be there. And also EA apparently EA at some point announced a partnership with a team called Velen Studios, who were made up of former Vicarious Visions executives. And I'm hearing that they will likely have something at EA Play tonight as well. So that's just another EA original from another studio. But now we get into the fun part, right? Which is, Jonesy mentioned Bad Company 3, which would be a fun thing for them to do. But there are a couple of other things that EA could do that would be just as fun and just as improbable, but it doesn't mean we can't talk about them and get our dicks hard.
A new Command & Conquer.
A new Command & Conquer, perfect. We mentioned Titanfall 3. Jonesy, how about one for you? Could they reboot Dead Space?
Oh, Dead Space as a coming on next gen consoles would be incredible. Like I think, do you imagine leveraging the power of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X to create like a another Dead Space
Yeah,
game.
but you know what
And
they'll
also,
do? You know what they'll do? They'll announce it, and it'll be like, like a completely fucking shit genre. It's like, it's a racing game set in the Dead Space universe.
and you're driving a car and there's monsters coming out at you from the side. Yeah, shit. But no, it's also been long enough. Like, obviously, the time between a game going off the boil and people complaining about it and when a new one gets released in that series and sort of reinventing it, I think it's been plenty long enough. So yeah, I could see that happening. I'd be all over that.
I got to remind myself of some of the franchises that EA has done.
Do you want me to reel off the list? So we talked about things like, we've already talked about things like Battlefield, we talked about Titanfall, Dragon Age, Anthem, Mass Effect. We know that a new Need for Speed is being worked on by Criterion, of all people, but that's probably a little bit early.
So
Dead Space.
What happened to Ghost Games then? What are they doing?
I don't know what they've been put on. They might have swapped places with Criterion, where like Ghost are now a support studio and Criterion are leading development.
Right.
Dead Space.
Still involved.
Yeah, the other ones I noted here are Skate, with obviously Skate 4 has been a long asked for game. Fight Night, SSX, Burnout.
Do you know what? I'm going to set a Burnout game would be cool. I'd be up for a new Burnout.
I feel like
title.
the tricky thing about a Burnout game is they've just put the Burnout developers on the Need for Speed franchise, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It almost
Yeah, they're not gonna do
indirectly,
two.
it almost indirectly confirms there's no Burnout. But
Yeah, what about a remaster of SSX Tricky? I'd be down for that.
why not just make a new SSX?
Well, why make Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered? Because they are great entries in the series, and so
No,
was SSX Tricky.
because they print money. That's
No,
the only thing that SSX would
SSX Tricky will print money.
Yeah, but do we want a good? Do we want good game?
All right, I've got one
Excuse
for
me.
you, Jamie. What about a new Army of Two?
Oh,
I would play that.
I would fucking if they pretended that Army of Two, the cartel, never happened, brought back, made the real Army of 2-3, brought back Salem and Rios, I'd be in there like swimwear, baby.
What about a fully fledged Medal of Honor rather than like a Medal of Honor VR?
I think, honestly, not to sound weird, I think with Battlefield on the go and everything else going on in the world of first-person shooters, I think what Medal of Honor needs is, it doesn't just need another entry, it needs an idea, it needs a hook. And I think that's kind of what VR was, and is. Yeah. It's an excuse to go back to Medal of Honor, go back to the well, and present something different. I think if you offered me another Medal of Honor that was just a first-person shooter, I'd say why? And if someone had a good answer for that, then I'd take it, but that's just what I'm feeling at the moment.
This also, to me, I mean, I could be completely wrong, but this doesn't feel like a year for World War II games. It feels like, you kind of get that cyclical thing where you go a bit of modern, a bit of old, a bit of modern, it feels like this isn't something, I can't see a Medal of Honor game.
Yeah, but Medal of Honor went into the modern age as well.
Did it?
Yeah.
When the hell did it do that?
The most recent one.
They reboot. There were two of them. They rebooted.
Jesus.
They rebooted Medal of Honor in like 2012 as just Medal of Honor. That was modern day, and then there was a sequel, Medal of Honor Warfighter, that was also modern day.
And I think Warfighter was banned in a couple of countries because you could actually play as the Taliban or something like that.
I must have actively ignored those games. I literally didn't even know they
honestly,
existed.
I'm amazed that
Wow,
that you hadn't picked those up, because I don't think Medal of Honor. I'm checking now. Medal of Honor hasn't been a World War II shooter since 2007 with Airborne.
fucking hell! I better shut up then, because I don't know what I'm talking about. Medal of Honor for me was always like, I always thought of them as being the best World War II games.
Okay, well, I've got a question for you, and again, this is kind of like bingo for us. You guys obviously listening to this and watching it,
that's the weird part, right?
So maybe this section has been boring for you. I do apologize, whatever. But maybe you're looking at us and laughing and being like, haha, it was all about The Sims 5. Anyway, what about a major title, brand new IP? So I'm not talking like, oh yeah, it's like a
Right.
Like something big from EA.
I think they have a lot of trust that needs to be restored in people like us and other fans of video games, because we know now that basically not only have they not treated some of their major franchises with much respect over recent years, they also haven't done right by a lot of new AAA IPs, and Anthem was the last time that we all fell for it. To put it bluntly, like, we all watched those early Anthem videos and previews and that first gameplay demo and said, yeah, we'll give this a shot. and they couldn't have dropped the ball harder than they actually did. So there has to be a healthy amount of skepticism, but at the same time, we should never be in a position where we don't support the creation of brand new AAA IPs. Because
100%.
in some respects, they are a dying breed. EA are still a major publisher. And if they're going to put ultimately tens of millions of dollars behind a game, like, we should all be behind that too, because that's the industry's better for it. It's like, say what I've said this in the Discord, like, say what you want about EA, but they are important. You know, they do make a lot of games for a lot of people, and we should always want more games, and we should always want them to be good. You should never be proud of wanting a game to fail, because that doesn't help anyone. People lose their jobs. The game industry suffers as a result. I know that got weirdly heavy. I didn't mean to take that question in that direction, but yes, basically, I hope so, and I'd be excited.
You know what's annoying for me is I feel that there's been numerous times where EA have been doing bad stuff, like flat out bad stuff. But they've had so many times that actually they'd show off something like a new IP, like let's say the first time they showed off Anthem. And what people say to it, it's not like their reaction to it is not like, oh, this is shit, this is gonna burn. Their reaction to it usually is, I hope that this is good, because the core ideas of some of the stuff that they're trying to do, it's solid, right?
Sure. I don't remember people slamming Anthem like before it came out and before people had a chance to play it. Like, I think people were genuinely excited for it. So I still think there's people who've got a lot of love for new content from EA. People are definitely jaded now for sure, but
yeah.
I think you're right, Jamie. You're absolutely right.
I think EA needs not just a win. EA needs a couple of wins, I feel, just in terms of their public perception.
Yeah, I agree.
It's weird though, because like Jamie said as well, like I think they win every single year. Like, they smash it out of the park.
Oh, yeah.
But because it's distributed across so many developers, across so many like annualized titles, across so many other games and updates and all sorts, it's really easy to kind of not see the wood for the trees.
They
it's
could
like a weird
literally
thing.
just release FIFA and they'd still be top tier.
Exactly. That's exactly
and
they'd laugh their heads off.
And I think that's kind of like being critical about EA releasing annualized sports titles is about as original and just as boring as using Transformers as an example for criticizing blockbuster movies. Like, what are you really saying? You're taking a piece of art, a piece of media that literally millions and millions of people enjoy and going, ooh, like, do you know what the solution is? Don't fucking buy it. Like, don't complain about it. Like, what do you lose from a new FIFA coming out? Like, honestly, people sit there, they complain about Ultimate Team, they complain about microtransactions. You don't fucking buy it. Guess what? I do. Guess how many microtransactions I buy in FIFA games? Guess how much additional money I give EA? Zilch, because I don't even play that game mode. Like, what are you complaining about? What are you complaining about? I don't care. You want to talk about EA? You want to talk about EA ruin? No, you want to talk about EA ruining franchises? Well, let's have that conversation. You want to talk about EA closing down good studios? Let's have that fucking conversation. There's so much shit and so many teams that I want back from the dead, and they've died at EA's hands. That's a conversation. You know what isn't a conversation? Ultimate fucking Team. Get a life, don't buy it, and just get on with things. Get on with it. Play literally, do what you've been doing the entire time. FIFA has been around longer than most of you have been around. FIFA's older than most of you listening to this. Get a life and get a grip.
I love that you've just gone on that rant.
I want to defend the people a little bit, just because I think
there's nothing to defend. Their life, it doesn't affect them. Their life goes on. These are people that are choosing to make their lives worse by participating in a discourse that wouldn't affect them otherwise. We see it all the time in fucking politics. Do you know how you keep your life good? Yeah, you make your life better. Don't get involved. It doesn't matter. It's nothing to do with you. Don't get angry. Don't choose to get angry about something that doesn't affect you.
Yeah. But I think, let me give them a slight little defense, because I think the only reason you ever get that kind of that attitude toward, especially sports games, and EA obviously the best example of that, is because people don't see like the FIFA crowd. You often get FIFA people that aren't gamers; they're just FIFAers, so they don't play any other games. You also get the same with like a lot of other sports titles, because people only play that one sports title because they are into that sport. And I kind of guess that's where the animosity comes from. If you don't play football in the real world because you're a gamer and you sit in your room and you play games like I did as a kid, and then you see your friends and people you know who play football in the park and they run around and they're bigger boys, and you go like, oh, I'm not like them, and then they all play FIFA. I think it's like a weird meshing of two worlds, which is why people go and get their backs up weirdly. Because I definitely saw that when I was younger, with mates of mine that played FIFA and only FIFA, mates of mine who played games and only other games. They kind of had a real thing against each other in a negative way. Because it was like, stop stepping into my games industry. And then the FIFA players were like, oh, fuck off. Blah, blah, blah.
And you know, all I'm saying is it's wasted energy. If you're out there and you feel like you're someone who genuinely cares about FIFA or Ultimate Team, like I'm telling you now, stop caring. You are literally...
Can I tell you the definition of wasted energy?
That rant?
Partly, but also talking about our predictions for
something
or an event
already.
that would already have happened for the benefit of viewers. We probably don't care. But there we go.
I don't know.
This is the benefit of us.
I get triggered so easily. Like there was a conversation in the Discord the other day that I had to force myself not to participate in because I was reading stuff that got me triggered and I just fundamentally disagreed with, and I didn't want to chime in. Do you know who does it a lot? And I can say this, I can call this person out because I know he can take it and you'll see the funny side. But Steph is the poster boy for like right. Every time we bring up The Last of Us Part 2, Steph's like, oh, sounds like I thought it was the worst game ever. Every time we bring up FIFA, he'd go, oh, FIFA, Ultimate Team. But like, it's just not original. It's not funny. Like what do you gain? It's that classic thing of it's not cool or interesting to dislike something popular. So stop making it a part of your personality. Like,
isn't it the same as us if we looked at something like Candy Crush or a mobile game and going, that's not a real game, and then there comes a study
but we don't do that. I play Candy Crush sometimes.
No, I know, but I'm saying if we were to, that it would be the same as us complaining about a study which said half of gamers are 50-year-old women, and we're like, well, hold on, they're including Candy Crush, that doesn't count. It would be the same kind of thing, in the same sort of ballpark. I think people that's what it is. Surely that's what it is, right? People going, that's not what I mean when I say.
No, it's people who think that disliking popular things counts as having a personality when it doesn't.
Or what's the thing? I liked it when it was cool, and I don't like it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as it becomes popular, I don't like it. Is it? Yeah. Do you think it's the same people that had to, that after they watched the Avengers, the one where fucking Thanos snaps his fingers? Do you think it's the same people that felt the need to post on social media that they had to lie down on the cinema floor because they were just so shook?
Maybe. I think.
Oh God, I didn't read anyone say that. I'm glad I didn't. I couldn't have taken.
I know who Chris is talking about. I'll put it that way.
There we go.
Someone we like on your. We know.
Someone we know. Someone we know. We'll tell you.
No, I don't believe you. But I don't believe you.
Yeah, someone we know.
And funnily enough, it's not Sam Richards. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
No, he probably already knew what was happening. I bet he's read all the comics and stuff.
That's why I remember taking the piss out of him so relentlessly in the build up to Endgame, and I was like, I couldn't wrap my head around why people were so emotionally invested in a decision that they knew would be U-turned
immediately. Yeah,
that was the part of that movie that I couldn't figure out, and that's why I think I actually didn't rock with Infinity War so much, but really liked Endgame.
I actually heard a weird rumor today that they're thinking of bringing Thanos back.
Thanos was cool.
But Thanos was cool, but that seems so pointless. If you can just turn around and go, oh, that didn't happen.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't. Although, again, they literally built a whole movie around the idea of turning around and saying, well, that didn't happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He's one dude. I mean, the other one was trillions of aliens and people, right?
Well, that's the Pandora's box, right? As soon as you open the time travel story device, guess what? You can travel back in time again.
Yeah, but it wasn't even time travel. Didn't they say it was different timelines, different dimensions? It was such bullshit, man.
Jonesy getting all quantum theory.
Yeah, I need someone else to have a rant now to equalise out from mine, because now I'm just kind of.
Yours was great.
Yeah, we're actually going to end the podcast right here, Jamie. So
I've got the post rant like hangover where I'm like, well, hang on a second, what did I just say? And
you slagged off people who play FIFA.
Who did I make angry?
how about
You
we
slagged
move
off
on?
everyone who
How
plays
about we
FIFA.
move on from slagging off EA, all right? And something that might make you more interested, all right? And I know it's going to make a lot of people nostalgic and happy, and that is that Nintendo, out of the blue, announced the new fucking Pokémon Snap.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, it sounds like you are possibly the most excited for this, based on social media reactions.
No, not actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's well documented that I'm not a Pokemon dude. So,
No, me either.
but people in my life are very fond of Pokemon Snap, so I am excited for them.
Yeah.
Nice.
Especially because like some of these people are not necessarily would consider themselves gamers, but they fucking love Pokemon Snap. So it could be like, hey, look, there's a new Pokemon Snap, and then you can actually, you can. It's almost like bringing them back into your world, so you can have these conversations. It's always a good thing.
And as we were just saying, it's great to have more people into the gaming world because it means that more people means more money, which means more companies, which means more stuff getting made, which means so it's all good.
Yeah. So new Pokemon Snap releasing on Switch. Interestingly enough, a joint between Bandai Namco and the Pokemon Company.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason for it. I don't know what it would be.
Yeah. I think that actually, Chris, that sentence sums up how I feel about the entire game. I'm excited. Like, this is really cool for a lot of people, but I'm like, wow, where did this come from?
I think a lot of people have wanted Pokemon Snap.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, I remember on ATG, we had made a video on like 6 games that should be remastered or 6 games that should make a comeback or something like that. And Pokemon Snap was one of the entries. And I was the driving force between having that on because I know how much that simple game meant to people. Right?
I never got it, man. I still don't. I'm not going to lie. Like
Jonesy, it's literally just a game about taking pictures of Pokemon.
No, I know what it is, but I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I don't. Every time I see Pokemon Snap, I'm like, so what do you do? You take, and then what do you do once you've taken the picture?
I think it's very much like I'm probably not as involved as Animal Crossing, but it's got that same kind of feel, I guess, where it's like it's an easy game and you just have fun with it.
What I remember is that you're obviously on a set path. It's almost like you're taking a tour, right, of certain areas
you're
and
on
taking
rails,
pictures.
and you can throw apples.
But that meant that you could miss the opportunity to spot and picture certain rare Pokemon. Like in this one level, they'd maybe pop up one time. But B, there was also an element, almost like a Dead Rising photography style thing, where, like Chris was saying, you almost were trying to encourage Pokemon to interact with certain objects in certain ways and take a picture of them doing things. I remember,
right? Because you got higher score when they did more interesting stuff, right?
Yeah, and there were like certain interactions that you could only do by fulfilling certain criteria.
Because didn't you get more points as well if you could get multiple ones in the same frame at the same time and things?
Something like that. Am I thinking right? Or maybe it was like you had to have like an uncluttered one, or I don't know. You probably got different points for different things.
I think when
it's the weirdest fucking thing I've ever.
I don't know. I mean, listen. So, Pokemon Snap was announced as part of a wider Pokemon Presents, and it does get kind of weirder because they also released, and it's available now, Pokemon Smile. This one's for you, Jamie, because I know you struggle in the mornings. It is a toothbrushing app.
Yeah, I need all the help I can get in that department. So
so basically, they've gamified brushing your teeth. You have it on your phone. You switch on the forward facing the camera. Your kid starts brushing his teeth, and it gives you goals like, "Oh, you've got bacteria on this side. Brush over there." And then like,
this is genius. Okay, you've just won me over. Every single day, I try and get my 4-year-old to brush his teeth, and he's like, "It's so boring." He literally goes, "It's boring." I'm like, "It's brushing your teeth. It's not supposed to be exciting."
Yeah.
But as soon as you get a phone out and let him see like that, I think he might be all over
So
it.
I'll tell you what, Jonesy, when it comes next week to your "What did you play" section, you can tell us how you and your son played Pokemon Smile.
Pokemon Smile. I'm going to download it as soon as it comes out.
I think it's available now. So
it's available now. I'm going to look and see if I can actually.
Check if it is. While I talk about the next game that they introduced, which was Pokemon Cafe Mix.
Yeah, I missed this one. I don't actually know what this is.
I must be honest. It's a puzzle game.
Okay.
Kind of like Candy Crush, but not Candy Crush. I got to be honest with you. From the trailer, I just didn't understand how you play this game.
It is on Switch though, Switch and mobile. So
yeah. you touch the screen and you swirl around certain Pokemon, and you've got to chain them up and link them together to get rid of them, kind of thing. And then you get points, and then you can build a cafe, and you can expand your cafe, and then expanding it gives you more food orders. I did kind of get like an Overcooked kind of vibe, where like Pokemon would give you their orders, and you got to try and do it. But
is it free to play?
I don't know, dude.
Because I think Pokemon and free to play for me, they haven't always gone particularly well together in the past. There was that one Pokemon game, I can't remember what it was, but it was kind of like a post Pokemon Go style thing where it was like a isometric battle trainer kind of concept.
Wasn't that? Yeah, fuck.
Its name escaped me, but I put a couple of hours into that, and I remember thinking like, this isn't what I thought it would be or wanted it to be. Pokemon Quest, excuse me, that's what it was called.
Pokemon Quest, that's the one, yeah.
I'm looking forward to the day they release like a Pokemon VR game. I think that'd be fun. In VR, actually, like throwing out a Pokeball and seeing a thing come out of it, like calling, as if you were the trainer. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. So another thing that they mentioned at this was Pokemon Go will be getting Mega Evolutions. Speaking of free Pokemon games, and yeah, Pokemon Go is still a pretty big deal.
Still going.
Oh yeah, it is.
Like, beats me. Like, I thought it died after like a month, but whatever. Like I said, I'm not really into Pokemon, so probably the worst person to bring up this section.
I got lost twice in London playing Pokemon Go.
You played the other Niantic game as well, though, didn't you? What was that called?
Egress or something.
Was it called Yeah, they did a. Do you know what's that's actually a tale of a company who updated a game and they broke it, in my estimation, so badly that I stopped playing it as soon as they updated it. It was horrible.
Wow.
They changed everything about that game and it went to a complete shit.
Right. Yeah, anyway, in this Pokemon Presents, they also mentioned that next week there's going to be another Pokemon Presents, and they did tease that they were going to be discussing their next big project. So, could we expect what this year's Pokemon would look like?
If there is a Pokemon this year.
Or rather, are they going to tease and show off what next year's Pokemon is going to be like?
It's too soon, isn't it? Isn't it too soon?
It does feel a little bit too soon.
Sword and Shield feels like it's only just been out.
Well, that was December last year.
And the DLC came out for it this week.
Yeah.
Oh, right, I don't know. That still seems real soon to me. Like,
no, I'm with Jonesy. Like, Pokemon isn't an annualized thing. It happened to be because they did the weird Let's Go thing. So the Switch had two Pokemon games in a row. But
maybe it's Let's Go 2.
I enjoyed Let's Go more than I thought I would. So hey, like.
All right. Well,
stranger things have happened.
Have we gotten to a point where there's maybe too much Pokemon going on? And I know there are. It's easy for me, a non-Pokemon fan, to ask this question because I know that there are Pokemon fans that are like, you can never have enough Pokemon. But is this like fucking too much? Is this like breaking saturation point here? Like, you're brushing your teeth with Pokemon, you're playing a puzzle game with Pokemon. You're finishing off the one Pokemon thing, then you're gonna go play Pokemon Go, and then Pokemon. You go back and you play a remaster of Pokemon Red or whatever. Like, fuck.
I think two things, right? I think first of all,
Jonesy's brushing his teeth with Pokemon.
You actually?
I'm just going to save it so I can show you guys on the camera.
Okay, cool. I was just going to say, it depends, what saturation point, I should say, these Pokemon games and concepts actually reach, because there's been a lot of Pokemon before, and much of it just either hasn't seen the light of day in our circles and our communities, or in this part of the world, and so on and so forth. And the other thing is, like, how easy is it to ignore? Because it goes back to what I was saying about FIFA. You don't have to be angry about how many Pokemon things there are. You just have to not play them or not download them, right? So
this is where I kind of disagree. All right?
Like, the Pokemon, there aren't other things that the Pokemon company could be putting resources into. Like, the Pokemon company makes Pokemon things.
Yeah, so this is what I was going to say. If people, what they really love about Pokemon is the core Pokemon experience, okay? And especially judging by the reaction from Sword and Shield, right? You kind of think to yourself, well, stop making Pokemon Smile and stop making Pokemon Cafe Mix and Pokemon Sleep and fucking Pokemon Snorlax or whatever, and just focus on making the core experience better, right? Like,
but is there evidence to suggest that Game Freak are being pulled off the main series or work on any of these things?
I probably not.
In fact, I'd go so far as to say I'd be surprised to hear that Game Freak were involved in any of these projects.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like as well that Pokemon is such a. It's not just one thing, right? It's not like they're just making one game series, so they need to cover so many bases. And I think, like James said, it's not like the main developers of main title games and stuff are being pulled off to make some app about brushing your teeth. Like they exist in a universe where they make everything. They're trying to make everything Pokemon.
Yeah,
like everything is Pokemon. So I think it's fine. It feels like it stands alone on its own 2 feet, and it's a whole universe of Pokemon. And fill your boots. That having been said,
don't get me wrong.
Here's me as a.
Oh, wow, love it.
Face the camera while brushing your teeth. There you go. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on Pokemon at all. It's just
no.
I was curious coming from a non-Pokemon person, figuring out your guys' Pokemon kind of experience and
I think
you've answered it correct, efficiently.
I play the games and always have done. Played I think every single one or one from every
generation.
Set. Yeah, exactly. But Pokemon's always been much bigger than that. And you look at prior to this set of announcements and what we were dealing with for the last 5 to 10 years, I've never watched any of the Pokemon TV show, haven't watched any of the Pokemon movies, never played any Pokemon Go, briefly tried that Pokemon Quest thing, but there are a bunch of other apps I completely missed intentionally. Yeah. I think it's easy. Sometimes it's easier just to tune that stuff out, Yeah. And that's what I have done before and will probably continue to do because there's an audience for it. I'm sure there are parts of the world where these things absolutely crush it in a way that is unfathomable to us.
Oh, yeah, dude. As soon as you market things to kids, then...
Yeah.
I think it's also a weird one because we see it as we think of Pokemon in the sense of games or whatever. But if you thought of Batman in the same way, right? If you thought of every time you see a Batman toothbrush and a Batman app and a Batman this and a Batman comic... That would be this, and then you look at the Batman games and the Batman movies. That would be the way that we should think about Pokemon. Pokemon is not just a game, or it's not just a this. It covers absolutely everything. The difference with Pokemon is there is no Batman company who own all of that stuff. It's a distributed kind of rights here, rights there. Whereas Pokemon seem to control. Am I right in saying Pokemon control all of that Pokemon stuff?
Yeah,
right.
So they have an overarching interest in all of it, which is why I think maybe Pokemon feels a bit different, but. You can see why they're trying to build this epic landscape.
Yeah.
Are they the biggest multimedia franchise in the world at this point?
Yes,
I think
they are. I think they are.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Mixed multimedia. For sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Let's skip ahead. Let's cover one more thing because we do need to wrap this up. It's turning out to be a 2-hour fucking thing. Not just yet, but soon.
Oh God.
All right, Jonesy. You would come up with this interesting thing. I didn't even know that this was a thing. All right.
Yes, this is a couple of rumours put together that I was reading up on just before the pod. So basically, there's a DC event called the Fan Dome. I did check the spelling of that numerous times, which is happening.
I got a press
alert.
Yeah.
Right. So that's happening on the weekend of around August the 22nd, where DC are announcing a whole load of things. They're talking movies, TV shows, and all sorts of DC things and around whatever they're releasing.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers games are going to be there and are doing an announcement. That has been confirmed already. So then, of course, we start thinking Warner Brothers. What are we going to be thinking? We're thinking Rocksteady. We're thinking Batman. Those are some of my favourite game. That is one of my favourite game series. I mean, take Origins out of it maybe, but and so anything like that is going to get me super excited. The one thing we were talking briefly about before the podcast was I'm not really sure how the connection has been made in the articles that I've read, but the thinking effectively goes Warner Brothers games are going to be there doing an announcement.
Yeah.
Imran Khan from Kind of Funny Games has said that the game that is being made is not going to be a Batman game, but a Suicide Squad game that is being made by Rocksteady.
Right.
I'm not quite sure how they make the connection between Rocksteady making the Suicide Squad game, because I think, Chris, as you were mentioning, there was a Suicide Squad game which was being made by Warner Brothers Montreal. So, but that has apparently been cancelled.
Yeah.
So this is why it's who's making it? Where's it coming from?
It's all the rumors and speculation, right? It was rumored that they were making. I don't think it was ever confirmed that they were making a Suicide Squad game.
Rumored, and then, the rumored game has now been cancelled. So it's did it ever exist in the first place?
But then picked up by Rocksteady, who last we heard were either working on a new Superman game or again.
I think it was superhero, right? It was generally called superhero. Get a title or something.
No.
Was it confirmed it was Superman?
Nothing was confirmed, but the prevailing rumors were either a Superman game or a Justice League game.
Right.
So it's interesting that it could actually turn out to be a Suicide Squad game. Maybe to tie in with James Gunn's kind of reboot / sequel. I don't know. It's an interesting one. And loads of people have been waiting to see what Rocksteady were going to do. But then it also, sorry, Jones, it also muddles the water a bit when Warner Brothers Montreal are quite clearly working on a Batman game.
Yeah, the worst kept secret in the games industry and probably one of the worst promoted games maybe ever.
Like in the dumbest way possible, especially if they're going to be waiting until August 22nd to announce it.
Yeah, at this point now, it's already like a foregone conclusion in that no matter when that next Batman game from WB Montreal is announced, it will be possibly the worst PR cycle, marketing cycle ever.
Yeah, because it's so many false starts, right? They had all of those teasers. People thought it was ramping up, and then nothing. So it's like, oh, okay, they've stopped. And then they ramp up the teasing again, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, this is it. No, nothing. Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Well, it's almost like a weird switch as well, because if you had WB Montreal, if they apparently were making a Suicide Squad game, which got canned from them, and now they're making the Batman game, but now the Batman game, now the Suicide Squad game has been passed over to Rocksteady. It's like, why would you? Do you know what I actually wonder is if all of these rumors of things are almost treading on their own toes. If all the rumors are getting confused and it isn't a Suicide Squad game, it is not from Rocksteady, and it is actually just talking about WB Montreal and the Batman game. Like, I don't get where one thing starts and the other stops.
Let me gaze into my crystal ball here, Jonesy. All right, let's say Rocksteady were working on a Superman game. It was absolute dog shit. Warner Brothers said, no, take your brother's homework and finish it, and your brother will just work on something else.
Yeah.
But then that's exactly what happened with WB Montreal and the Suicide Squad game in the same thinking.
No, right? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, no, I said you... So they've basically swapped, because like, you guys were messing that up, let's do a swap.
No, dude. So Rocksteady were making Superman. This was what I'm thinking. My hypothetical, that I actually have to explain what this hypothetical is. Rocksteady were making Superman. They fucked up Superman. Warner Brothers Montreal worked on Suicide Squad, and then Warner Brothers Games as a whole took over and said, no. Yeah, Rocksteady, finish the Suicide Squad game. Warner Brothers Montreal make Batman Court of Owls or whatever it's going to be called.
Right. Yeah. Which that is what the rumors suggest. But interesting, man. I mean, August 22nd, we've got to wait to find out. But it is definitely a bit of a weird situation.
I'll be honest. Like, I know there were never rumors to suggest anything other than some kind of a DC Comics entity.
Yeah.
But I was in the camp of hoping that Rocksteady would flex their muscles and try something completely new. They really
DC related.
Yeah, they really reinvented themselves with the Arkham trilogy. As a developer that, no matter what they made next, it would be exciting.
Yes.
And I hope that it's not just a game where they take that brilliant sort of Arkham combat and those stealth mechanics, apply them to certain characters in a theoretical Suicide Squad, and then maybe throw a few other ideas around for some of the more tricky characters from the Suicide Squad to encapsulate in terms of gameplay mechanics. But I don't know, I just think when they're at the top of their game and they really milked their early ideas for everything they were worth, to the point that I think most people were coming towards the end of their tether with Arkham Knight. I know there's a lot of excitement for whatever's next, and I completely get that. I will absolutely play another Batman game too. But I don't know. I would have liked to have seen them try something substantially different in a way that I worry the Suicide Squad might not be. But I'd love to be proven wrong.
Well,
if I can be slightly cynical and say, if I think what's likely to happen, given the fact that Suicide Squad 2 movie is going to come out, as we've said, it smashed it on the box office. You've got the Marvel Avengers game coming out at some point, which is obviously going to be the Marvel offering. I think Rocksteady release a Suicide Squad game based on a lot of what they learned with Arkham, because you could play as Harley, you could play as Nightwing and a few other characters and stuff. I can't remember who exactly.
But I don't understand
Joker
why you
could play as.
But I don't understand why you do that and you don't do a Justice League game.
I think because it coincides with the film. Whereas the Justice League hasn't got another one coming out, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, but I feel the characters are way stronger than any film.
I just think they want to win in that I think they think Marvel Avengers is going to be shit, and they want to win when it comes to that. And they will. I think they will. If they release an Arkham Knight game, reskin exactly what Jamie doesn't want, I think they can win.
Yeah, I think the only thing that kind of goes against that possibly is that Arkham Knight was released in 2015, and we have to imagine Rocksteady were putting their plans in place for whatever's next by then. I think before then even, yeah. But I think even looking at 2015 as a date, I think that was a little bit too early to either plan to tie into a Suicide Squad movie that came together quite quickly. Because
they weren't planning it, right? We already know that they've axed what they were going to do next. It's already been Superman. The rumor has already been canned. So maybe it wasn't whatever was in the work then's all gone away, and they started working on a new thing like a couple of years ago. Maybe
I just think that Rocksteady's based on their pedigree and how much faith like a Warner Brothers would theoretically put in a company like Rocksteady. I can't see Rocksteady's next big game that we've waited 5 years for being them picking up the scraps from a cancelled Warner Brothers Montreal project. That's not me saying it's not Suicide Squad and that Imran Khan is lying, because, you know...
Well, he is a cricketer, so, you know, he says he's...
And a politician, so there you go.
Yeah. We'll never get away from that joke. We've got to stop bringing up Imran Khan on this podcast.
Maybe that's it, like moratorium on it. No more Imran Khans, right?
Yeah. It brings out the dad in you guys too much.
I completely get what you're saying, Jay. I in my head though, if I'm being super cynical and I'm thinking about money, I can just see Warner Brothers going, we can win this by getting the guys who made the Arkham games to make a Suicide Squad game, basically reskinning Arkham and updating it a bit, adding in those characters, making it playable. It will be better than the Marvel game. I don't know. That's in my cynical way.
I don't know where that confidence would come from. The idea that we said, hey, let's pick up a project that Warner Brothers Montreal were dropping the ball of. Give it to Rocksteady, and assume that would be better than a Crystal Dynamics developed Avengers game that everyone thinks is going to be bad because they didn't like the faces 2 years ago. That's the only argument anyone's got for Marvel's Avengers. Whoa, the faces were a bit weird. So what? So what? Play the fucking game.
You're right. However, I still think it's going to be a terrible game.
I don't.
But the reason isn't just that. The reason for me is everything in that game is so hard to do. All those characters are far too OP to put into a real game. That's why you can't make a Superman game, because he's far too powerful for any game. It doesn't work. Whereas as soon as you talk about like Batman, the reason you can have an Arkham game and be so good is because at the end of the day it's punching and kicking, and they've got that free flow fighting system which is wicked, and everyone loves it. So all you got to do, and all
like how many? First of all, like how many characters control like that in Suicide Squad? How many characters do you want to control like that in Suicide Squad? But what's the benefit of making a Suicide Squad game to then say, hey, 85% of the roster just use the Arkham combat? What's the fucking point?
Because you've got you've got like Deadshot, I guess, who you can say he fights like Batman, but he's got a gun, and then you go, it's Harley Quinn. She fights like Batman, but she's got a sledgehammer.
This is the worst pitch ever, Jonesy.
Yeah,
no, I know.
This is where it all falls apart.
But I don't think it falls apart. I think you could already play as 4 or 5 different characters in Arkham Knight, as you know, with DLC and things. And Harley was one of them. And I think it wasn't Nightwing. It was red something, wasn't it? It was Robin in a red suit with truncheons or whatever. They've already done it, and it is the same fighting system. They just add in a backflip.
And it was the weakest Arkham game that they'd made.
It was better than Origins. Come on, man.
Yeah, no,
they
that's
didn't
why.
Make Origins,
Exactly. That's why it was Rocksteady's weakest Arkham game.
Yeah. I liked it, and if they said, "Hey, there's another game made by the same people using the fighting system but tweaked," and it's now. But here's the thing:
that's what Warner Brothers Montreal are making.
No, but they're making. What do we?
They're making a Batman game that uses the Arkham combat, because of course it fucking does.
Yeah.
If Rocksteady's game after all this time was a Suicide Squad, where it's just like, hey, here are a bunch of characters who all use that same combat, that would be an effing disaster. And the idea that Warner Brothers would go down
anyway.
I don't think so. I think whatever Rocksteady are making, I think it's different.
I hope so. I hope you're right, but I also hope that there is a Suicide Squad game that uses it. I think it'd be fun.
Well, we'll find out August 22nd, I guess.
Probably. Hey, yeah, I don't know. I've run out of steam on that conversation.
Yeah, with that, I think we tie it there because,
Oh,
fellas, guess what?
it's almost 2 hours, isn't it?
Almost 2 hours. So if we cut it now, maybe we'll live. All right, so we need a code word to bring this to an end, and I think nothing's better than Jamie's rant.
No, don't.
I-
No,
yeah, yeah, I like
no.
James
Because I'll get too self-conscious about it. I already am.
All right.
I'm already know the first thing I'm doing when we stop recording is going back to listen to it to make sure that it was actually okay. Because now I'm getting all funny
I can
about it.
guarantee you that it was fine. Okay.
I tell you what. How about we make the code word something we didn't talk about, which is Witcher 3 is free on PC.
Nah.
Well, no, that's such a rubbish code word. Imagine every comment is which.
Because then everyone in the
Witcher-
comments would be citing Witcher 3 is free on PC. It'd be funny.
Oh God. Okay.
All right, it's not that. It's
I'm
not
gonna,
that.
I'm gonna
What
give
should
you
we
one.
make
Why don't
it?
we call it 2 hour boys? All right, because we're hitting that 2 hour mark.
All right, 2 hour boys is good.
All right. 2 hour boys is your code. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on a podcast platform of your choice, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. And then head over to the podcast platform of your choice and give us a rating. Although I think only iTunes gives ratings, but just give us 5 stars and leave a little message because we like those. And tell your friends about all of what we do because, we need to grow. We need expansion. People need to know the good word of the Super Show. And with that, thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Yeah.